Let's go.
So switch off your tennis, switch off your football. The football's getting messy, by the way. It's 1-1. There's a clue for what's happened with the score. And COTA Golf has made it through to the Wimbledon semi-finals. If you're a sports fan like me, all important stuff. But this is more important because we've got the anti-penultimate round of the VRRC World Endurance League. Delighted to welcome back Reeve Taylor to the commentary box for this one. Reeve, lovely to have you back, mate.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be back as well. Been a few rounds out for this World Endurance League, but by all accounts, it seems to have been a really good one with a nice mix of action. So looking forward to getting back into it. I had a pretty good track, and not a track I've been able to commentate out for a while. So looking forward to that. Yeah,
I didn't check whether I've done Fuji before. I don't think I have, but yeah, looking forward to it as ever, as we get towards the closing stages of our latest championship. Thanks also to Steve and Ian. Steve, of course, looking after our directions. Ian Danaher will be clerking on Thursday morning and have plenty of work to do, no doubt. So here's the rundown. You're all familiar with the broadcast schedule, and only 2 rounds left. Bahrain next Tuesday, and then we wrap things up at Le Mans with the triple point round. I haven't updated the graphic, but it is actually triple points for Le Mans with compulsory stops. Last week we were at Circuit of the Americas. Lydia Walmsley was our guest commentator, and Lydia apparently really enjoyed it, which was lovely to hear. A big thanks to Lids for joining us again, and look forward to seeing her back in action in the Porsche Sprint Challenge very, very soon. Championship wise, Jack Smith managed to open up a little bit of a gap last week over Gabe Norse in second. Ollie Gibson still in third. Smith and Gibson, of course, leading the team's championship. Kieran Haynes is only 2 points behind Ollie Gibson in fourth. Then it's Andy Carroll, who closed up on Kieran as well, just 2 points further down. Chris Blakey sixth from Ollie Atkins and Andy Dorman. Lee Pearcey not with us last week. He is in 9th place, dropping from 8th the week before. Mason Turner went up 1 place last week from 11th into 10th, and of course wraps up our top 10. 11th in the championship is Christian Gillian, ahead of Sam Gumbly. Scott Bugner, I'm not sure whether Scott is on the server. He wasn't practicing earlier on, so we might be missing Scott for another week, which is a bit of a pity, because he'd have been starting off the front or second row with Rich Hayden, who will start, by my reckoning, on the outside of the front row, and Sam Walton on pole. If Rich Hayden doesn't win from there, there is no hope for him. Rich, I'm only joking, as you know. Jack Dickinson 16th, so he'll be aiming to get into the reverse grid part for race 2. Jacob Lander 17th from last week's driver of the round, Zach Hancock. So it was lovely to talk to him at the end of the show last time out. Jack Angel in 19th, and the top 20 wrapped up by Josh Brennan. So outside of that, Paul Laramie is in 21st, and then we have Robert Shepherd, who again had some good runs last week. John Jones in 23rd. I think we're missing John again, just looking down the timing screen, which is a pity, and no sign of Kenny Press. I'll tell you what, we've seen less of Kenny Press than we have the local postman, and that is saying something. Hope Kenny is well. So that's where we are on the drivers' front. The team championship, as you mentioned, DK Power are top of the stack by a good 150 points or so over Swift Cooper Black from Team Carbug third, VRRC SRT fourth from Shake and Bake, Swift Cooper Blue next up from Automac Independent in Garage Motorsport 9th, and Swift Cooper Orange in 10th place. I should probably save the French pronunciation for the Le Mans week, which is in 2 weeks' time. So that is your top 10 as far as the team standings go, and we'll get a little bit more forensic about that as we head into the last couple of rounds, probably from next week. But we are at a circuit where, if you're good, you're called a black belt at Fujitsu. Fuji Speedway is where we are. It's the great circuit, and really looking forward to what should be another tricky one for the drivers. 16 turns, as you can see from the graphic. Fuji itself means many different things in Japanese, so I won't tell you what they are, but for us Brits it means mountain, and my first encounter with it was that legendary race where James Hunt secured the championship in 1976, and that rain-sodden event where he came through amidst all confusion to claim the crown from Niki Lauda. So that was my first sort of go with Fuji, or first visit as far as watching it on TV goes. But a great track, and we're going to have a ride round courtesy of, I think, Jack Smith with the hot lap. Tell you what, I'm definitely regretting having a hot cup of tea before I came into my studio, which is not really a studio, it's a spare room, which is very, very small, and a hot cup of tea was not a good idea. But hey ho, we've seen from a hot cup of tea to a hot lap and ready to go forward into our race here at Fuji. First of 3 races. Remember, 2 longer races and then the 15-minute sprint race, which will be decided by the points from the first 2 races. Top 15 in the championship are reversed to give us the grid for race 1, and we've got Rich Hayden on the front row of the grid. So I'm guessing Sam Walton is not here. That seems to be correct. That's a pity. So it's Rich Hayden on pole and Sam Gumbley lines up in P2. Reeve, I did see last week when we were sort of deliberating about driver of the round that you were typing something, but it never came up. The message didn't come up. I think maybe because we'd made our decision, but I'm guessing you were sort of watching some of it last week.
I did tune in for a little bit. I didn't actually mean to give any input. I think I was just looking at the notifications and then happened to accidentally scramble on the keyboard a little bit. So apologies there for...
No, not at all. You'd have been very welcome to take part in it. You know, it's not a problem to have you involved. But yeah, it was certainly an interesting round. None of the podiums were changed as a result of... We didn't get a graphic, did we? It's only about the top 3, which you normally do. None of the podiums were changed despite penalties. It was the same drivers on the podium. So no really big changes, which I think is quite healthy, certainly for the top drivers. I think Kieran did get a penalty, and I think Gabe had one as well, but they didn't affect the points too much as we left things last week. So that was all good. And again, it's going to be about, I think, you know, Jack Smith and Gabe Norse, and see what those guys are up to over the course of this race. We may well get a head-to-head between the pair of them, but as you can see, we're heading down towards start time of the cars. We'll soon be heading down towards turn 1 for our first of 3 races. Half an hour on the clock here at Virtual Fuji, and it should be the Aston of Rich Hayden that leads them away. Rich does make a good start, and Sam Gumbley has a good one as well, and in fact gets the run on Rich and tries to go around the outside as they come into turn 1, but it's hard work for him, as you can see the circuit flows away downhill through the sweeps for the first couple of corners, and Rich Hayden has done well. We've lost a couple of drivers, one of the Swift Cooper drivers going out of the mix as well, but it's Hayden from Gumbley, Ollie Atkins in 3rd and Christian Gillian in 4th. Andy Carroll off track.
Yeah, Mason Turner there, the Aston affected with a few impacts at turn 1. I was about to commend him on how good of a job he was doing, really fighting, a 3-wide battle through Daiichi, that first corner. But then as we saw that run down towards turn 3, the Coca-Cola corner, notably easier to pronounce, unfortunately, his car pointing the wrong direction. Kieran Haynes, the driver currently with in P6, he's closed up quite nicely to the battle with previous victor Andy Carroll and Christian Gillian, because they've been costing each other time with that battling. It's allowed him to close right up to go on board with Norse, climbing his way through the pack with a Jack Smith in tow as well. This is a great little battle, I think, that we're already going to see shaping up early on in race 1. It's further down the order for now, but let's see what it'll be for as we head later on into the race.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, isn't it, between Norse and Smith, and our director Steve rightly picking up on those guys, even though it's Rich Hayden out front. It is about those two battling for championship points, and Gabe tends to be a little bit quicker out of the blocks, but bear in mind Jack Smith has led the championship since round 2, so therefore has started race 1, each of the race 1s since then, behind North, so has kind of had to follow him in the early stages. Ollie Atkins now takes the lead. Well done, Ollie, over Rich Hayden. Hayden's going to fight back though and takes the Aston to the high, wide and handsome line, if we can quote Brian Jones from Brands Hatch of days gone by. And a very good line there by Rich Hayden trying to sweep through. He's going to tee up the inside here, but he's not quite going to get through, and it's the BMW that resumes up front from Rich Hayden as we watch Andy Carroll in 8th place. Andy, the only non-BMW driver to take a race win, and had all 3 different podium positions last week. You see he's dicing with Oliver Gibson, 3rd in the championship at the moment, and those two very close indeed on points in the championship. So that is a battle not only on track but also for the championship points as we head to the last couple of rounds. But at the moment, Gabe Norse has got Sam Gumberley between himself and, I'm looking at the timing screen for some reason, have we lost Jack Smith somewhere along the line? He's down in 13th. Not sure what happened.
Yeah, tumbles down the order a little bit. Big contact involving Carroll there, that mid-engine layout car. So difficult to catch when it wants to go. It looks like he's got to pointing the right direction. Luckily, we're going to go on board with Kieran Haynes. He's in the battle with Rich Hayden now. Rich Hayden potentially falling victim to these very eager M4s surrounding him at the top end of the order, but the back end steps out and Haynes' car as he rides over the curve there. He does well to correct it, but still Rich under all of that pressure. We saw Rich carrying some really nice speed through the first couple of corners at the start of this lap, but those M4s are just something else in a straight line, it seems. And we're seeing evidence of that now with a bit of assistance from the slipstream. They go side by side, encroaching upon the pit wall, getting nice and close there. And the move's done before we even head into the braking zone for that first corner. Haynes into 2nd place, unless Rich Hayden has anything to say about it. Under braking into that first corner, he's going to have to go for the outside run. And it's Kieran Haynes, provisionally at least, looking pretty settled in 2nd place, although Rich once again goes for that inside line. He's certainly not giving up without a fight, is he?
No, he isn't. That was a good move to get in front. That was a textbook move. Wait for the pun. It comes straight out of the Haynes manual.
Oh, beautiful work.
Wasn't worth waiting for that one, to be perfectly honest, but never mind. Christian Gillian 6th ahead of Andy Carroll in 7th. The yellow fella ahead of the orange and blue car, and it is Carroll who's looking to try and sneak up the inside. Carroll's still in a good position to score points. Jack Smith has recovered very well indeed to come through in 8th, and I was going to say, because he had the maladies in race 1 last week, and I was beginning to think that Smith might be suffering from a jinx in race 1s for the moment, but he's got himself well up inside the top 10 again, and down behind him is Zach Hancock, who's looking strong. Zach's got himself up into the reverse grid part for race 2 as well. So, you know, Zach, I think, building on his experience, which is terrific to see, as Christian Gillian gets involved in that battle. Wasn't with us last week, Christian, but great to see him back. Not great to see him spin and collect Zach Hancock's as well. So all that good work from Zach is undone. No fault of his own, unfortunately, as the battle is now on for 3rd place. Rich Hayden coming under pressure and indeed passed by Gabe Norse, effectively the same piece of tarmac where we saw Kieran Haynes put on the move as well. So Gabe Norse up onto a podium position. Rich Hayden's going to try and fight back, pops the nose of the Aston back on the inside. Very good under braking, but runs wide. And I tell you what, Gabe Norse saw that coming, didn't he?
He certainly did, and what a great battle that we're seeing. I love seeing Rich just absolutely not relenting, not giving up at all. We saw there Jack Smith trying to claw back a few positions in a bit of no man's land at the moment, but still running along rather well. Go on board with Dorman here as well, putting pressure on Josh Brennan. Now, Josh is a driver that haven't had too much of an opportunity to... oh, it is. We have a driver off. Is that Gillian in the background, potentially? They're dropping out of the top 10. Brennan's not a driver. Oh, was it? Ah, dear.
Possibly.
Yeah, Brennan's a driver that I haven't had the chance to see too much driving from so far in the VRRC, but so far I'm very impressed, must be said. This is a great little battle between Brennan and Dorman as we go back on board with Rich Hayden. He's still trying to keep up with Gabriel Norse here. Oliver Gibson might be looking to put some pressure on in the next few corners or so, but as I say, hats off, Rich. This is already a fantastic evening. Even if he's not quite fighting for that podium for the time being, he's still putting on a great show for us.
He's doing a marvellous job at the moment, and I'll pick up on that great point that you made about Josh Brennan. Josh hasn't scored a top 10 yet this year, or in this particular campaign. His best results were last week, a trio of 13th places. So to him to come from outside the reverse grid part and into the top 10 with likes of Andy Dorman behind him, really good performance. So well spotted, Reeve, on that one. The fastest lap is changing hands though and resides with Kieran Haynes at the moment in P2. It's Ollie Atkins out front, so the Swift Cooper lads 1 and 2. Gabe Norse is third. Rich Hayden in P4 at the moment with Ollie Gibson trying to close him down. There is Jack Smith with Josh Brennan will be the next car into shot. We ride with Jack trying to close down on Andy Carroll, and this is all about points now and consistency for Jack Smith. Won't want to have another issue. He didn't want the first one, to be perfectly honest, of course, but if he can get a good steady finish here, another decent run in race 2, good points, start off the front, maybe have that race with Gabe Norse in race 3. He's got a little bit of a lead championship wise. It is 15 points in the championship, but that is not huge, to be honest. It's only first to 5th place 15 points, plus of course you've probably got the likes of Gabe Norse having more fastest laps in the course of the championship, so first to 4th place really 15 points is what we're looking at, even with the 2 drop scores. But there is Jack now closing down on the McLaren, starting to put the pressure on. I think Andy's got his hands full here very much, so the trio of BMWs out front about to be joined I think by some more, as again Jack Smith just bides his time. Jack, he's not a rash driver. He won't, this is curse of the commentator, isn't it? Won't necessarily go for a lunge. No, Jack won't do that. He will try and pick his moment and go through it at the best time. Yeah, I'm sure he will. Jack tends to revel in the fight more than anything. It's not just about being out in first. He'd much rather have a great scrap. So we're seeing Gibson and Hayden enjoying their own scrapping out in front there as they run down towards that first corner. We're seeing very similar positions out on track actually as we go side by side down the start finish straight. Seems to be a bit familiar at this point, but still great battling nonetheless. By the way, Richard, I think you'd be absolutely forgiven for grabbing that ice cream right now, which I can hear is patiently waiting outside your house. I've just asked that you run one up to me as well, because it is getting rather temperate in here. But Rich Hayden in 5th at the moment, putting on a good fight with Gibson. And as you say, Jack Smith not quite on the scene just yet, although he is clear of Andy Carroll. But I'm sure we're going to be on for a great fight. So far, the top end in this race, it's all settled by German-powered machinery, of course, that Aston Martin with the Mercedes lump in it there. So far, it's looking good for the German-powered cars. Yeah, there are a lot of BMW fans.
It's just a nice, that's why we like to.
So yeah, they certainly seems to have been the machinery to acquire for this particular endurance championship that we're running. We've got a Porsche championship. We're going to talk more about that at the end of tonight's show. Rich is going to talk to us a little bit more about the upcoming Porsche campaign, which will run in August/September. As Jack demotes Rich to 6. 6 is Rich's best result in this campaign so far. He's had a few of those. I was hoping he might hang on to 5th, but it's not going to be, I don't think, in this one, because he's got Mr. Carroll busy chasing as well now in the McLaren. So it's going to be Aston and McLaren battle behind the BMW. So who's going to be the best of the rest here? Is it going to be Rich or is it going to be Andy Carroll? Rich is going to fight back as he has done. I think Rich enjoys this track, Reeve.
Yeah, I can certainly see why he's having a great old time out there. He might not be going for the top end in terms of points, but he must be having a lot of fun, and hopefully, it's a shame. I mean, if we had the time to, we'd love to chat to more than just 3 drivers, because it'd be great to get his point of view. So hopefully we will, at some point this evening, as you say, Richard, we'll get to have a moment to chat with him, because it's great to get his point of view on this. But Jack, currently up in 5th at the moment. The driver we're on board with in the hop cabin liveried car. Bit of a change up in Jack Smith's usual livery, of course, but it's an interesting colour, of course, as well, with the I can't remember what did we call it? The Hop Dragon, is that what he calls it? With its big mouth on the front of it.
It's the Hopposaurus, isn't it?
Hopposaurus, that's it.
Which is a great name for it. It really does look the business. And Andy Carroll, tell you what, Andy Carroll really caught Rich Hayden quickly there, makes the move, goes past. So Carroll again, and a very demeaning title, but best of the rest once again is Andy Carroll. He loves the McLaren. When we've interviewed him and spoken to him about the McLaren, he does love it. And I did sort of ask the question how he felt he might have gone in a BMW, and I've absolutely no doubt that he would have had more wins if he'd been in the Beamer. But he's very happy with his choice and thoroughly enjoying racing this model at the moment. So fair play to him. It's just a shame we haven't got his teammate Scott Bugner with us again, which is a shame. Scott's had some decent results. We know he prefers the front wheel drive, but I suspect might be involved in getting his real life race car ready and out again. I haven't seen him so far this year. This is the battle for the lead now. So it's Kieran Haynes has managed to get in front of Ollie Atkins. So a change for the lead. Kieran out front from Ollie. Lovely to welcome Ollie Atkins back. Driver that, you know, like Kieran, has been on the podium in this series, and wouldn't it be good for Swift Cooper if they can do a top 2-step shutout? But they've got Gabe Norse behind them. They've got 17 minutes to go, and Gabe Norse is only 9/10 of a second behind the pair of them. So the first thing you want to do is catch them. The next thing is split them up, or maybe you can get past both of them in one foul swoop. We'll see how that pans out. But Gabe Norse is very definitely closing in on the pair at the moment. Fastest lap of the race is with Jack Smith, though, back in 5th place after whatever issue he had. Let's not discount Jack from a podium either, with half this first race remaining.
No, absolutely not. Still plenty to play for here at Fuji. Very complex and quite twisty, quite technical track at certain points. It's one of those where it has some awkward lines by the looks of it, and it's one of those where it's quite easy to scrub some time off. So hats off to these drivers for putting in such impressive performances so far, as we see the two Hoppasauruses then pretty much side by side. Gibson and Smith of the DK Power Squad heading on towards the start-finish straight once more, in tow this time as well, so Jack Smith might benefit a little bit from a slipstream effect. It'll just be a case of when does he choose to pounce out and head towards that first corner. Now, they don't want to fight, I'm sure, 2 elbows out here. They are, after all, teammates, as Jack Smith flashes the headlights, typical BMW fashion there, and heads into that first corner into P4 now. I can't imagine that Gibson's going to fight for this one too much, because there's still plenty of points, plenty of opportunities in this evening to go.
Yeah, another punt incoming here. If the two brothers take each other out and crash the cars, there'll be 2 Hopposaurus Rex.
Oh no! We've had we started off with the Fujitsu pun, which, you know, my IT head immediately kicked off. Before the heights of your second pun there, we've fallen back down with the Hopposaurus Rex, I must say.
We're going downhill with the cars now, aren't we?
Brilliant. I love all of them, of course.
Here we go then. So the battle is on for the podium, and Gabe Norse has closed. I promised Gabe not to call you Jack Norse this week. I did get the mention in, but Gabe really busy closing in. Kieran Haynes, Ollie Atkins. Kieran starting to build a little bit of ground. That's going to be really important for him as Ollie gets sucked into the battle here with Gabe for 3rd place. Then we've got Smith and Gibson trying to close up. Of course, you'd want them to work together, really, to use the slipstream, try and close in on the battle for 3rd. They're not that 3 seconds down, so that's a lot to close up in the second half of the race. Of course, the fact that the top 3 have made that gap means that the gap could be negated in the same time frame that we've got remaining, but whether we'll see that or not, I don't know. It depends how much Gabe Norse may be engaged in battle with the 2nd place car. Has caught up. This is the view back from P2. Ollie Atkins looking back at Gabe Norse in 3rd place. We can see Smith and Gibson trying to close in as well. Andy Carroll is in 6th, Rich Haydenston in 7th. Josh Brennan, again, looking for his best result. As you pointed out, 8th place from Paul Laramie and Sam Gumbly wrapping up the top 10. We've got 17 cars on track. So basically, the reverse part, as Gabe Norse closes in, is going to include basically everyone apart from the last 2 drivers, which at the moment is Zach Hancock's and Rob Shepherd. So this is the battle, though, on for P2. Side by side they go. Ollie Atkins is under big pressure. Gabe Norse gets his nose in front. Is he going to consolidate this as they go into the next corner? Well, Atkins has got the inside run, tries to brave it out, but he can't quite do it. And Gabe Norse makes it through into 2nd place, but runs a little bit wide now as Ollie Atkins tries to fight back. But Gabe Norse now consolidates that P2 and will need to get his head down. But that battling has cost him the best part of a second back from the race leader, Kieran Haynes.
Fantastic stuff here, and all of a sudden Haynes is beginning to build up, as you say, just a really nice lead, which he hasn't quite been able to do so far. He's been running very nicely, but now is starting to just settle into that nice, comfortable zone here. But that is on the backdrop of this fantastic battle that we've got on our screens. Now, a bit of a slipstream effect maybe for Ollie Atkins. He's a bit too far back to make anything stick just yet. It would have to be something brave under brakes, I think, into Daichi if he wants to try and make that move stick. North, I'm sure, wise to it, and we saw some great moves previously on the defence with North against Rich Hayden earlier on in this race, so I think it is going to be pretty comfortable for the time being. I have a feeling this is one of those corners where you really can't appreciate just how much of a severe elevation and camber change it is. It's a bit like many places on the Nordschleife. Until you are there, it is just a dramatic kind of drop through elevation. I imagine the drivers will struggle to see much else other than tarmac as they drop through that first corner. It's quite the roller coaster is the Fuji Speedway. And looks like a great track to be running on, as Atkins does a good job of that in P3 at the moment, and is setting himself up quite nicely for a ticket for an interview with ourselves after the race reaches its conclusion, before we go back aboard with Andy Dorman, currently in P10, of course, enjoying some battles earlier on as well, looking to try and find a way past Paul Laramie, as we have a bit of Aston on Aston action as they head into the mid-half of the lap. But do watch out, because they are under pressure just a little bit here. Laramie sticking to his line quite nicely here, isn't cracking under the pressure so far, isn't really reacting all that much to Dorman behind, is racing his own race, it seems, and that seems to be working well for him.
It does. It's nice to see Paul having a little bit more luck than he's had so far in the series. We haven't seen a huge amount of him. I don't think he's done a round with all 3 races so far, which has been a little bit of a pity, because we know that he's very capable of taking race wins and podia, as is Andy Dorman. Hence why we've got such a great race between these two, and Sam Gumbly up in the mix as well. So Sam, all these 3 are going to be very near the front in race 2 as things stand at the moment. A key thing as well is Lee Piercy is 14th. I haven't mentioned Lee this evening. Lovely again to see Lee back, and he could be on the front row. Robert Shepherd has come through into 15th, so it could be a Shepherd Piercy front row in around about a quarter of an hour's time for race 2. But good stuff from Andy Dorman, getting ahead of Paul Laramie. Let's hope that Paul can get all 3 race finishes under his belt as we head into the final couple of rounds of the series. So Laramie in 10th, Sam Gumbly next up from Christian Gillian, and then behind Christian Gillian it is Mason Turner in 13th, and Gumbly goes through on the inside. A little mistake, a big mistake actually, from Dorman, and Sam Gumbly goes through. Lovely stuff from Sam Gumbly, saw the opportunity, moves up into 9th place.
Yeah, really nicely executed first corner there for Gumbly. Just pounced upon an opportunity that presented itself rather quickly there. Yeah, huge benefit to his race there. 2 positions for the price of 1, all in 1 corner as well. He'll be very pleased with that. Although, it must be said, all of a sudden there's an Aston of Andy Dorman right back on the scene, nearly going for it down the inside. They both did well there, I think, to avoid any form of collision there, as Dorman now focuses on his battle with Laramie once more, and Gumbly in the M4 resumes his position in P9 there, as we head on to some more BMW M4 action at the top end of the pack. It does seem to be quite a comfortable car here at Fuji, it must be said, as we head down that start-finish straight. Jack Smith sat in the slipstream of Ollie Atkins now. He's broken away from Oliver Gibson, has Jack, and is now beginning to encroach upon that podium and is looking pretty well poised to try and take that position as we go side by side under braking. Are we going to go too deep into the corner? No, it's nicely judged there by Jack Smith. Ollie Atkins just has to run a little bit wide, but there's plenty of room. Nice respectful racing between both drivers there, and as Jack Smith up onto the podium. A very nice recovery drive, and we're only 20 minutes in. We've got 10 minutes and 3 and a bit seconds to the lead of this race, and I don't think we can say it's absolutely settled yet.
No, it isn't. You know, this is a classic Jack Smith drive, isn't it? As you say, he was down. I was going to say down and out at one point. Thought, oh my goodness, race one jinx again. Second week on the bounce, but he's fought back superbly and closing in. This is a real performance to close in on Gabe Norse in P2. I didn't think he was going to get anywhere near Gabe. The thing that didn't slow Gabe up, but it's changed the complex of the race, was the battle that Ollie Atkins put up for that third position in my book. And it just slowed Gabe enough for Jack to try and close in. And once you've got a visual connection with that car in front, it gives you the drive to focus on that car in front and try and close up. That's what Ollie Atkins is trying to do at the moment. Still good, strong stuff from Ollie Atkins, with Oliver Gibson in 5th, Andy Carroll still having a quiet 6th place. But we are now going to see, I think, what most of us have been sort of hankering after for a while, and you kind of hope it's going to happen with the reverse grids that we've got, is that the two drivers do start together. First couple of laps we tend to see Gabe Norse get away, but now he's been caught by Jack Smith, and you know, metaphorically, actually literally rubbing my hands together at the moment for this championship and race battle that we're going to see with Gabe and Jack starting now.
We drop down once again, 8 minutes left on the clock, and Smith, as we say, is really putting that pressure on at Norse. This is a familiar sight. This is something we've become quite accustomed to over the past few seasons of VRRC action. And we're going to be in for another treat, folks. Only 0.3 of a second separate the two. 100R is the corner, and they now navigate before the hairpin, and some slightly less tight radius corners. This is one of those corners which is really kind of testing on the front axle. It really does get those tyres nice and hot, and as we head further into the race, of course, the tyres won't be quite at their freshest, so drivers probably balancing fine balancing act really between looking after the tyres but absolutely going for it as well. And Jack, I think, is going for the latter at the moment as we head down towards turn 10, towards the end of the lap. Just keeps a nose in there on the rear axle, just making his presence known. He's not going for anything bold just yet, but he's just very much making sure that his rival knows that he is poised for an overtake. Here we go then through the twisty stuff towards the end of the lap to keep it nice and complex and technical there as we rise up towards the Panasonic corner there through the final corner. So it's not just Fujitsu here at the Fuji Speedway. Through that final corner we go and on to the start finish straight. All this battling though, it must be said, bringing Ollie Atkins right back into the mix here. He can sit in that slipstream pretty comfortably, knowing that he can still bang in some really good lap times here and might be poised to benefit if anything were to go awry at the front end of the pack. Norse then tries to break the slipstream. This brings Jack Smith right into contention with side by side, and an overtake on the outside. Not too familiar a sight here at Fuji. Jack is going to try and defend it from the outside. The inside of the corner still open for Gabriel Norse to try and stick a nose in. We're still side by side on corner exit. This is brilliant stuff as we head down towards the Coca-Cola corner. Jack has it for the time being, but the question is how long turn 3 comes up next, and I think we can say that it's a bit more settled as the back end kicks out for Gabriel there. But what a battle between those two. Ollie Atkins, I'm sure, very much enjoying that. I'd love to see where he is on track at the moment in relation. He seems to have dropped back a little bit, so this battling duo will stay a duo for the time being, but it's Jack Smith up into P2.
Yeah, Oliver Gibson closing in on Ollie Atkins. To answer your question as to where he is, Kieran Haynes will be delighted. The gap's gone out to 3.75 seconds, and it is Oliver Gibson now trying to chase down a P4, and not that far behind the duo for third place. And Gabe Norse will have that Jack Smith focus now as well. We know that both of them capable of banging in fastest laps whenever they are on track. I was talking last time about how I'd love to see all of our drivers, you know, in the same championship on a real life track, and wouldn't it be interesting to see Jack Smith and Gabe Norse in the same car as an endurance pairing? I mean, that would be some really good pairing to go. As Norse runs a little wide, makes a mistake there, did he? And Norse loses out. Ollie Atkins back into P3, and Oliver Gibson coming up as well. Norse not looking as happy so far. It'll be interesting to get his perspective if he makes it onto the podium but runs side by side to try and get the position back. And Oliver Gibson's going to go for the burn up round the outside, with Andy Carroll coming into shot saying, hey, don't forget about me. And Gibson here is on the outside run. Is he going to be able to go through it? No, he can't quite do it. And it is Gabe North still there in third place. So he does get back into the podium position. But Oliver Gibson here having a cheeky moment. Are we going to see the Hopposaurus have a little nibble away here, or a big bite really, isn't it, with those choppers on the front? He's going to have a go at Gabe North, trying to go through. But this is resurgent stuff here from Oliver Gibson in P4. Ollie Atkins looking smart as well in 5th place. The gap still 3.5 between Haynes and Smith out front. Smith will try and close down, but we've only got 4 minutes on the clock. So Haynes has done what he needed to do at the time he needed to do it. Came through, remember. Haynes 4th in the championship coming into this round, so didn't start that much further ahead than these guys that are fighting out here. So hats off to Kieran Haynes, who's done a good job getting through the field and also leading and getting away, making the most of the battling behind him. You watch Ollie Atkins now down in 5th place with Oliver Gibson. At the moment, it looks like Norse has just managed to regain his composure here in 2nd position. Andy Carroll's closing in again though, so Carroll might fancy his chances of getting up into the top 5 in the McLaren. Maybe that car behaving itself, tyres behaving themselves a little bit better in the closing stages of this one, as Atkins again starts to have a look at Oliver Gibson, and that will definitely help Gabriel Norse. Not that he probably needs any help in 3rd place at the moment, but it's Haynes from Smith, Norse in 3rd, 3 minutes 24 on the clock, and maybe 2 and a bit laps to go.
Yeah, not long to go in this race then, as Carroll finds a way around the outside, goes for P5 rather, doesn't quite get that settled just yet. In fact, bit of a switchback there. He does get that position in the end. Brilliant stuff between the two there. Andy Carroll breaking up the trio of M4s that were pretty much making the M logo colours, in fact, with the kind of purpley blue, the light blue and the red. But the McLaren there, the sole McLaren leading the charge for representing Woking there in the top end of the order here this evening. Doing an almighty job. Andy Carroll wrestling that car to some fairly good results so far this season, of course. We go on board with Gibson, and I do have to wonder with the Hopposaurus livery, does the M4 really need a bigger snout, a bigger mouth than it already has? I'm not sure it does, but it looks brilliant. Either way that they've added on the extra bit of mouth to the front of it, it does look good, that livery, and as ever, all the liveries in VRRC always top effort, always a great looking field of cars, no matter what we are running. And Atkins, the driver, we're focused back on now, B6 for him at the moment, but such a close bit of running overall. To say that we had so much battling in those fights for the lower part of the podium, and the race leader's only 3.5 seconds above, as Atkins fights a bit of oversteer there and does well to keep it pointing in the right direction. To say that we're only separated by roughly 5 or 6 seconds is a remarkable effort, really. Everyone's doing a commendable job at the top end of this race.
I was just trying to work this out. I think we've got another 2 laps to go, because I think they'll probably just cross the line at the end of the next lap, unless Kieran backs off just before the clock runs out. So I reckon we've got another 2 laps to go potentially, but we'll wait and see whether that is correct. And you're absolutely right about the logos. Of course, the drivers come up with the ideas, but they're executed by Kenny Press, executed in the nice way, we have to say, by Kenny Press, who translates all of those ideas into what you're seeing on screen. And it is a shame we haven't seen Kenny, but I was going to say I haven't heard from him. I'll send him a message tomorrow. That's the thing to do, and wish him well. Normally catch up with him at Donington Park, where he is, of course, a regular with the supporters club up there at that wonderful track, as Oliver Gibson tries to put... I've got to say, Gabe Norse hasn't looked as happy as we usually see him here, and you know, no disrespect to Ollie Gibson, but normally we'd expect Gabe to be away and down the road, but Ollie really putting pressure on him. They're both in the same car. Gabe, of course, does carry a fair bit of ballast. He's got 12 kg, 8 kg for Oliver Gibson, and then Andy Carroll's got 5 kg, which they should wipe off really for the McLaren to make it more competitive, and then we'd see what Andy could really do. As he's having a good go here is Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll is in with a shout of a podium here again, isn't he?
Yeah, remarkable effort from him so far. This late McLaren resurgence all of a sudden seems to have done well. I wonder if we'll maybe we will have a chance to chat to him. Maybe there's some interesting tyre wear situation going on for the mid-engine car there. It'd be very interesting to see what he has to say about how this race has developed for him, because it has been a tale of two different fortunes, it seems, from this evening. But we've got a bit of a wall of M4s to get past first if he does want this podium. Into the first corner we go. It's Norse on the inside, Gibson on the outside, a slight bit of door bashing there, but Rubbing's racing, as they say. And Norse clings onto P3 according to the timing system. Nose out in front, another bit of a wheel-to-wheel action. This time it's a good thing we're not in open wheel formulas. And there we go, Gibson in P3, Norse settles for P4 for the time being, and Andy Carroll sees an opportunity here, tries to hang it round the outside, but there's just not quite enough grunt in that long tail McLaren there, so he has to stay in P5 for the time being. The two straight six beamers defending for the moment, and what a great battle. This is certainly not over yet, and once again Andy Carroll confident in the high speed grip available to him in his very capable car there, tries to hang it around the outside. There's big contact between Norse and Gibson. Norse with the nose on the inside there, Gibson still heading around the right-hander, spins Gibson round. He has got that car back underway, luckily, and is back up to speed. Norse also with further issues. What a shame that their battle ended the way that it did. We go on board with Kieran Haynes, who's had a comfortable run in comparison, navigates that final corner. It's been plain sailing, but otherwise plenty of action to discuss. Kieran Haynes weaving in celebration, then heads down the start-finish straight, a flash of the headlights for a flourish, and he takes the checkered flag there.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Kieran Haynes. You know, a couple of rounds ago we predicted that he was in the ascendancy and would get up to do that. Jack Smith gets P2, Andy Carroll gets the podium. We didn't think that was going to be possible at the halfway stage, but he came through. And I'll tell you what, Gabe Norse and Ollie Gibson aren't going to be best mates, are they, after that one? A great shame. They were battling hard, but it wasn't to be. Robert Shepherd has come through for 7th place. Gabe Norse is 6th. Robert Shepherd is in, or is he? No, that's the timing screen, maybe a little bit out of kilter. Rich Hayden 7th from Josh Brennan. Sam Gumbly 9th from Mason Turner. And then Andy Dorman, Christian Gillian 12th from Paul Laramie, Lee Pearcey, and Robert Shepherd 15th. In fact, took the flag in 15th, so he's going to start on pole position for race 2. Zach Hancock's, we lost one of the cars in the pits towards the end of the race, but Zach, I think, will be the only driver outside the reverse grid part as the remainder of the machines make their way around the lap. Lee Pearcey busy chasing Paul Laramie. Oh, it's Lee Pearcey in 15th place, so Lee potentially on pole. And again, you wouldn't bet against Lee, aside from the fact he's in the Aston, but he's going to be 15th for him with Paul Laramie alongside for the front row of race 2. We've given you the rundown. Your top 3 again, Kieran Haynes, Jack Smith and Andy Carroll. Words with those in a couple of minutes. Please stay with us.
Stages of the second Legends Cars race.
Action there, but it's time to hear about some of the action from our legends in the VRRC after race 1 here at Fuji. Our podium interviews coming up next. We're going to start with our driver in P3, Mr. Andy Carroll. Lovely to speak to you again, and congratulations on a podium. Were you expecting that one?
Last 2 laps, I thought there might be a chance. Yeah, I thought obviously, you know, Ollie's going to sort of put pressure on Gabe to try and minimise his points haul. Now that once Jack had got past him, yeah, but I thought Ollie had got away from us. But yeah, just that final chicane, they had a bit of contact, and yeah, just managed to sneak past them both. So
Yeah, almost.
very, very chuffed with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Moses parting of the seas almost. All of a sudden, you just the two M4s dispersed, and you had what was comparatively, I imagine, a relatively comfortable end to the race after a race where you seemed to be working quite hard. You had a lot to do there, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, at this track with a lot of fuel on board, it's quite tricky to keep them pointing in the right direction. But yeah, as I say, they sort of all the BMWs have kind of got a bit ahead of me, and I was just sort of trying to keep in touch with them. And then obviously once they started battling towards the end, I pretty quickly managed to catch up to them. So yeah, at that point it was kind of gloves off and see where we can finish. And yeah, very, very pleased with another podium.
Absolutely. Is this something that you've noticed throughout the rest of the season then? Would you say that maybe as the McLaren kind of gets lighter on fuel load, do you notice it sort of come to life a bit?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think it's that little bit kinder on its rears, or certainly the way I've got it set up and drive it. I think, you could see Gabe, I think, was really struggling in some corners. Whereas, yeah, my tyres were absolutely fine at the end. So yeah, as I say, once the second half of the race, once the fuel had burned off a bit, the tyres were still good. Yeah, it was definitely a more enjoyable car to drive.
Yeah, it certainly looked from our point of view, all of a sudden it seemed like at certain points, particularly early on in the race, it seemed to be not the easiest going, but all of a sudden that McLaren seemed to find a bit of form in itself. Obviously, very much helped by your amazing skills out there. Obviously, a really good result last week, of course, and seem to be building on that. So you're hopeful for a nice, maybe a top 3 finish in the championship then, as we look at the final couple of rounds after this one?
I'm certainly going to give it a try. Obviously, I think myself, Ollie, and Kieran, I think, are all pretty tightly bunched at the minute. So yeah, just got to try and maximise as many points as I can each round, and yeah, with any luck, sort of come the end of Le Mans, I might be able to nab 3rd place. But yeah, as I say, it's really close with those guys, so it's going to be good fun trying to find out anyway.
Exactly, it will be good fun nonetheless. I'm sure there's plenty more fun to be had this evening. Andy, all the best for the rest of the racing action this evening. Hopefully we'll get a chance to chat to you once again, so congratulations on P3.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Yeah, well done, Andy, and thanks to Reeve for doing the 3rd place interview. Let's go to our 2nd position driver, Jack Smith. We thought there was going to be a little bit of a race 1 jinx going on, Jack, in the early stages. Drop out. What happened?
I was getting bum drafted, and I think I maybe my car thought I was in the pit lane or something, but my engine literally just turned off. So you can imagine I just missed my braking point entirely, thinking like what has just happened. And
Right.
yeah, I think the car thought it was in the pit lane, so it automatically turned the pit lane limiter on. So I just lost all power, and then it came back again, and then I just missed my braking point entirely, went straight on into T1. It wasn't by much, but because I had the bump draft as well, yeah, I just went straight on. I just like maybe a car with wider apex, it just got me into a collision. So yeah, a bit of a shame, but yeah, we had unreal pace in that race. It was actually a bit mental. Quite happy to get back up to P2. I didn't think we'd get anywhere near that. So yeah, that's really good.
It was great. We were speculating, I think, in the early stages that comeback was on. I think when we first looked, you were like 12th, 13th, something like that, and then the next minute you were up to 8th. Even at that point, I don't think we thought you were going to come through for a podium, let alone a P2. And it was, to watch, it was vintage Jack Smith, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here so long now, it probably is, isn't it? So, yeah, no, I think it's probably one of my better drives recently, and yeah, just sort of clicked around here. I lost it a little bit when we were battling Gabe, just lost the rear end. I think I just heated the rears up a bit too much, it got a bit slidey, but once I've got past Gabe, I just got into a rhythm again, and yeah, the lap times were just staying low. I thought they would go well off, and tyre grip was going away, but the fuel came down, so it worked out quite nicely in how I was managing it. So yeah, super happy.
What have you been up to in the week?
Not much really, mate. Just yeah, just chilling. Finished work last week. Off for a little sabbatical now for a little bit, and yeah, hopefully yeah, just chill out really. I think yeah, went away this weekend with the missus to my aunt's place. They've got like a nice house, so we stayed out there for a little bit. Shout out to my aunt if she's watching. I don't know if she is, but so yeah, we had a nice little breakaway there. But yeah, other than that, mate, not really much to report. But yeah, went to Time Attack actually. Yeah, at Alton Park. That was quite nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite good. I noticed there was a driver academy thing, so I was thinking of signing up to that. And I believe you're the guy running the media stuff. So
Media, yeah. I mean, we were talking about Mazdas last week as well with Zach Hancock's, and I've been invited to do the Mazda one as well. So there's a Mazda scholarship next year. So yeah, get your checkbook out and yeah, have a go at the Time Attack, the Honda one. I think the Hondas are down on drivers at the moment, aren't they? The Honda Racing Championship.
Yeah, it did seem a little low. Yeah, it did seem a little low.
But yeah, looking forward to being part of that sort of movement. It will attract a lot of interest for the for that championship. So you're going to do that one, are you?
We'll have a look. Yeah, it looks really interesting. So yeah, I think I'll keep it in mind. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you there.
I think of some difficult questions for the interview.
Yeah.
Jack, well done on P2. You're always great to catch up with you, and good luck for race 2.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So back to Reeve. I think he's going to catch up with Kieran.
Thank you very much, Richard, and a big congratulations, Kieran, then, our first race victor of the evening, of course. Plenty of work to do out there in the end, but you seem to have a relative bit of calm towards the end, but I know, obviously, that pressure was certainly present throughout most of the race. So do you want to talk us through that race a bit for us?
Yeah, of course, my straight line speed was very much off, but that was a good race. I had a good start. I was keeping it nice and clean, and just keeping a calm head, and yeah, I just took off in the lead afterwards. So yeah, it was a good race.
Absolutely. Is this a track that you're comfortable with, one that you've got much experience at, or is this a bit of a new frontier for you almost?
Not a track I like, but it's not a track I hate. So it's a bit in the middle, I'll say.
Oh, that's got to bode well, hasn't it? If this is a track that you're not the most comfortable at, you seem to be kicking off proceedings rather well. Of course, first 30-minute race completed, and you've got another one coming up next with a bit of a reverse grid to boot as well. So you're hoping to just kind of carry on with that kind of keep your head down mentality and work your way through that pack.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. I know Jack had quite good pace at the end there, so I don't think I'll keep up with Jack, but I'll try my best. And in the last sprint race, I think that's where I'll show my true pace.
Well, we look forward to seeing that, Kieran. Congratulations on a victory. Apologies, we have to cut short a bit. We do need to get back to the grid for you to all go racing, so congratulations on a race victory.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Reeve. Well done, Kieran, and well done to all our podium finishers. Super stuff from race 1. There's a shame about the contact at the end, but it all come out in the wash as far as the judicials go. It seems to be a buzzword these days, judicials and post-race and so on and so forth, but always a little bit of a pity. As we go on to race 2, what isn't a pity, of course, is seeing some different drivers up at the sharp end of this one. I'm very much looking forward to getting a chance to call some of the other drivers for a change. Outside, we've got now we've got Robert Shepherd showing us P1 on there, but showing us 18th on the timing screen. So not quite sure exactly what is going on in terms of that. Robert Shepherd is at the front, as you can just see the McLaren sitting there just to the right of the timing tower, and it's Paul Laramie who starts on the right of him, as you can see. Very nearly ready to go for our second half hour race, and away we go. Rob Shepherd is beaten off the line by Paul Laramie, and it's Christian Gillian up at the sharp end again in yellow and black. Lee Pearcey making a move in blue. So again, we've got the VRRC team up the front end. Last time it was Rich Haven, this time it's Lee Pearcey, who's trying to sort of keep wide, I think, to try and make up ground, but also keeping out of the way of any potential trouble. As Sam Gumberley goes up his inside, Andy Dorman in the mix as well. But it's Paul Laramie that leads from Christian Gillian. Rob Shepherd down to 4th place. I think it was Ollie Atkins running a little bit wide there. Had a good strong race in race number 1, did Ollie, but decent start here from Paul Laramie, Christian Gillian and Gabe Norse already up into 3rd place. Gabe has done one of his traditional trademark getting through the opening corners, reading the traffic well and going through. I didn't see any clashes come up with him in the mix as well, and Gabe is so good at doing that, and he's already potentially on for a podium. And it'll be interesting to get his thoughts on the end of race 1 if he can maintain podium position in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic start for him, though, as he puts pressure on Gillian. As you say there, Richard, and Paul Laramie might be afforded a brief opportunity of respite here if Gillian is too preoccupied with Norse as we head further into this first racing lap of race 2 here. The back end kicks out ever so slightly for Norse, and of course Norse, we know, struggling with the rear tyres towards the end of race 1. Doesn't want to probably put too much energy through his rear axle lest he finds himself struggling once more, but quite a clear separation already. Our podium sitting drivers so far in the top 3 breaking away a bit from the midfield there. Rob Shepherd under a lot of pressure as they now spread out towards Sam Gumley and Lee Pearce, now going 3 wide just behind, as we can see as we go on board with Gillian. Norse finds a way on through up into 2nd, now goes into the slipstream with Paul Laramie. Might be looking for a move into 1st place this early on. That would be an impressive feat. He stays on that inside line there, gets closer and closer still to the Aston in front, but nothing to be found in terms of an overtake just yet, although that might be changing at the front end of the pack as we go on board with Lee Pearcey. Gumley's just behind, Shepherd up in front. It's the side-by-side now of Norse and Laramie. Norse has the inside for the upcoming right-hander before 100R. The back end kicks out on Paul Laramie's Aston. There is a slightly shorter wheelbase car, is the Aston, so it can have those moments where it gets a little bit twitchy, I suppose. And we see Laramie and Gillian now side-by-side for P3. Norse afforded an opportunity here to try and break away if he can.
Yeah, he'll have a huge lead, won't he, by the end of this lap, because 2nd and 3rd very much engaged, and Sam Gumley coming up and having a nibble here at Robert Shepherd. We are still on the opening part of this race, but again, Robert Shepherd acquitting himself well from the front of the grid. He's got some really quick drivers around him, but you know, holding on well and hopefully building on his experience with us in this championship. He's got Lee Pearcey, multiple race winner, right behind him. Christian Gillian in front. Top McLaren now is Andy Carroll up into 3rd. Is Andy Carroll going to get a double podium again? You'd not bet on him dropping back, would you?
No.
Because he's challenging for P2, and he really has driven the socks off that thing the last few rounds. He missed the first event of the year, but here comes Carroll now challenging for 2nd position, and he's going to have the inside run, I think, as they come down into turn 1. He's got his nose in front for sure as they go across the grid lines. Gabe Norse is a distant memory up front. Don't think he's going to catch Gabe at this stage, but P2 could be as good as it gets for Andy Carroll, as Paul Laramie has another go and looks to the outside run here. Andy Carroll's going to have to be careful about his braking. He does well with it, and the McLaren emerges in 2nd position. Great move from Andy Carroll again.
Yeah, he seems to be really confident in that car. He did mention, you know, that the setup seems to be working well for him. We saw it in race 1. He was able to just attack some of the high speed stuff with confidence, and now he's up into 2nd position. He seems to be gelling with that McLaren really well as we go on board with Oliver Gibson, putting pressure on putting pressure on Josh Brennan there. There's Kieran Haynes and Oliver Atkins just behind. We have a trio of grey, blue and orange M4s there, with Gibson breaking the pack as Brennan is the leading driver there. Another opportunity for Josh Brennan here in this 2nd reverse grid of the evening, of course. Before Haynes and Atkins do try to attack Gibson just behind. This is brilliant stuff. The trifecta, I was about to say trio of M4s, but of course there's far more M4s currently in shot. 25 minutes left in this race. Atkins finds a way on through Gibson, remaining in P10. Now the dynamics of this battle get even more interesting because Jack Smith is on the scene, and what do these two drivers do? Do they try and work together at this point? Do they try and find their way through that pack? I think that's what they're going for, as they go pretty much side by side with an M4 each. And there we go, Gibson and Smith doing their best to try and claw their way through. Hello to and shout out to Elaine, by the way, in the live stream comments, who is tuning in, who is supporting both Jack and Oliver out on track at the moment. Oliver gets ahead of Josh Brennan there. Jack Smith stays in P10 for the time being, but has a bit of a slipstream assistance there down towards that first corner.
Plenty of Swift Coopers in the mix, aren't there, at the moment? And what a great addition they have been to the VRRC stable. And it's Haynes is the top of those
Oh!
at the moment. Oh dear, so we get a spinner. I think it was Ollie Atkins drops back down the order, which is a pity, but it's Gabe Norse, 3 seconds to good over Andy Carroll. Paul Laramie out front. 2 of the Swifts have survived, with Oliver Gibson back in 9th. Sam Gumbley is in 10th. Jack Smith down in 12th at the moment, so not making the progress that we thought he might. Gabe Norse, of course, I think finished, was it 6th or 7th in the first race, so was around the midpoint of that reverse section. So, you know, again, you know, let's not understate what he did. It was a really swift moves as Lee Pearcey runs a little bit wide, well, a lot wide actually, there, and rejoins back in 5th position ahead of Andy Dorman. Christian Gillian having a good run here and trying to close down on Paul Laramie, but good to see Gillian up in the top echelons of this race, and you know, heading towards 1/3 distance. So this is good stuff from Christian at the moment in P4. Just having a quick look, this would be by far and away his best performance of the season so far. Had a 6 in the sprint race at Losail. So if he can hang on to 4th, you wouldn't actually bet against the podium as well, because it looks like he's got sort of the same sort of pace as Paul Laramie at the moment, as we get the look at Lee Pearcey in P5. And Lee, again, another multi-race winning driver. It doesn't matter what you put him in, whether it's Formula 4, Legends cars, touring cars, always a race winner. But one has eluded him so far in this one. You might argue because of the choice of chassis in this one, going with the Aston. We haven't seen the Aston take a win yet, only the McLaren beating the BMW so far. But Pearcey's still always there or thereabouts and near the podium when the race falls his way.
Yeah, but still a really strong effort. Oh dear, that's the back end of Andy Dorman's car, I think,
yeah,
pointing in the wrong direction. Yeah, so a bit of misfortune for one of our Astons that we were just discussing. Hopefully he can at least get that car kind of back on the way and in some form of point scoring position, because he does deserve some points from this weekend overall. See some time being lost there for him, potentially Kieran Haynes to drive that. We're now focusing on obviously a really strong effort in race 1. He'll be hoping for a similar feat here in race 2, so that's 22 minutes to try and gain some serious points in this race. It's currently 4th in the championship, is in that kind of upper midfield mix, the likes of which Gibson and Carroll are also occupying. And a solid weekend like this, with a couple of victories under his belt, could make the difference and give him that kind of late championship charge. Given that this is a track which apparently Kieran isn't all that fond of. He seems to be doing quite well at it. And he also says that the sprint race, the shorter race that we have for race 3 this evening, is going to be his better race, he suspects. So if that's anything to go, if the racing so far is anything to go by, he should be doing rather well as he goes into P6 now, goes side by side with Andy Dorman, gets his car out in front, and is now in that top 6, closing down on that top 5. Just in heading into shot there as they run through the first corner and drop down towards the Coca-Cola corner. I can't actually see any Coca-Cola signage unless I've just completely missed it so far. So maybe someone who's a bit more of a Fuji expert than myself knows the significance of that corner. I imagine previously it might have been a sponsorship that existed in a previous form.
I don't think they paid the bill, Reeve.
I mean, I could see, you know, they must be probably very flush for cash, I imagine.
Yeah. I was going to make a point about Kieran Haynes, actually. Kieran in 6th place at the moment. You won't be thinking about championship positions, but the win in race 1 puts him ahead in the championship again of Ollie Gibson, moves him up into 3rd provisionally in the championship as Lee Pearcey makes the move on Christian Gillian. Good stuff for him. Christian's going to repay the favour, or is he? No, he isn't. And the fact that Kieran is ahead of Oliver Gibson in this one will strengthen that 3rd place. Kieran was 3rd, jumped into 3rd place after Spa, the Nurburgring, wasn't it, the 1 hour race. So Kieran got into 3rd place for the first time. He was 4th after Losail and 4th at Imola, then got up into 3rd. So it was last week that I think drop score started to kick in. It dropped him back down to 4th place with Andy Carroll in 5th in the championship. But here he's looking to sort of get back on the straight and narrow and get back into that 3rd position at the moment in the championship table. And Andy Carroll needs to be mindful of that, because Andy said he was dicing for 3rd in the championship as well. And it was interesting that Andy was saying, a lot of drivers say they don't think about championship points, but very clearly Andy Carroll was thinking about that, the fight that he's got with Ollie Gibson and Kieran, which is actually quite nice from my point as a you know, someone who does try to read the narrative of who's where at what stage of the season. I think it's quite important. Andy Carroll did have fastest lap, but that's now gone to Jack Smith, who has got into the top 10. So more good points for Jack. Josh Brennan, his next target, and then his brother Oliver Gibson, as we watch Lee Pearcey trying to close down on Paul Laramie. For my money, it would be great to get to talk to Paul Laramie or Lee Pearcey for a podium here. I think it will be a first podium in this series for either of them.
Well, let's hope that we can see them achieve that if that is the case. But as you say, Richard, it is really impressive when we see drivers thinking of the bigger picture and having the capacity in the middle of a race weekend to try and think of, you know, what the championship permutations are looking like. In some cadet karting series that I've commentated on the past, I've seen the kids do it as well, and I'm always amazed because sometimes I'm struggling to do it and I'm in the comms box, and I remember as a kid that age I'd be struggling to even count up to 25, never mind apply it in a racing kind of context while actually participating in the race. So it always impresses me, the mind of the racing driver, what it can achieve and what it can do whilst navigating a car very quickly around a racing circuit.
I take my hat off to you being a kart commentator. I've not done kart commentary for a very long time. I used to do the Internations and Formula Kart Stars and stuff like that back in the day for broadcast. And when you've just got lots of, you know, little dots going around the track that all look the same, yeah, I find that very, very difficult indeed. Plus the fact you've got to do the maths as well. But yeah, championship positions. I mean, championship points are a really good way. If the kids aren't interested in school, championship points are a great way to get them engaged in the maths.
Absolutely. Maybe it would have worked with me, but I must say, you know, the whole struggling to work out drivers. I mean, we don't have this issue in the VRRC, courtesy of the likes of Kenny Press with some fantastic liveries to boot. It was never much of a problem, to be honest, until Lando Norris's championship, where all of a sudden everyone is lime green. now it's a problem. As I say, thankfully, not quite the same issues here in the VRRC, although we are on board with the car with a bit of lime green on it, in the form of Paul Laramie, as Kieran Haynes finds a way around the outside, a very inventive way around the outside. If he can try and make that move stick, this might introduce Lee Pearcey onto the scene, though, with a great switchback move. He sees an opportunity and absolutely goes for it. The Aston and Aston stuff has been few and far between so far this season, but when it's happened, it's been brilliant. And Laramie has to settle for P4 now. Pearcey tries to hang it around the outside, as he's got very inventive with his racing lines, with his opportunities for attack here on this lap so far. Hats off Lee Pearcey. Well done to Paul for defending it and not cracking under pressure as well. And of course, Kieran Haynes for kind of being the catalyst in all of this and just going for a move and making it stick around the outside. Brilliant stuff from all three drivers on that lap.
Yeah, well done to Kieran for getting up onto the podium, and I should keep my mouth shut next time about saying, oh, Paul Laramie and Lee Pearcey are going to be on the first podiums of the series. No, they're not, because Kieran gets in the mix. So you watch Andy Dorman and Oliver Gibson having a go here at Christian Gillian. Both made it past. Pearcey now trying to close down on Paul Laramie, but I think it's going to be more a case of defending from Oliver Gibson. Jack Smith back in 9th, so Jack's going to drop a few points to Gabe North, who hasn't cleared off into the distance as we thought he would. Andy Carroll only 2.9 seconds down at the moment. Kieran Haynes a further 9 seconds down. So Kieran, I think, is going to have to content himself with another podium. But the double podium potentially is going to be with Kieran and Andy Carroll, the way things stand at the moment. Although now I've said that, curse of the comms could come into play as we ride on board with Andy Dorman, trying to hunt down Oliver Gibson and having a look in his mirror at the yellow peril right behind him. Christian Gillian keen to try and get on terms with him. Jack Smith not that far back either, or is he? Yes, he is. Got a bit of a gap back, so Jack may be having a curse of race 2 in this one as Lee Pearcey tries again to close down on Paul Laramie in the VRRC car. Rich Hayden, incidentally, in the other one, down in 14th place, ahead of Zach Hancock's. Chris Blakey in 16th position, and Robert Shepherd 17th from Jacob Lander, just to give those guys a little bit of a name check. Mason Turner ahead of Rich Hayden, Josh Brennan in 12th, Sam Gumbly in 10th, brings us to the top 10 with Ollie Atkins in 10th place, Jack Smith 9th. So I think everybody's had a name check at some point, as going very wide there, Paul Laramie and Lee Pearcey almost coming out in sympathy, and that allows Oliver Gibson to get a lot closer, as we're only just past the halfway point of this race, and Gibson now has got the inside run, which is partially blocked by Laramie, so he's going to go even further to the inside and try and get past the pair of them here. 3 wide as they go down into turn 1, and that, I think, has been done by Gibson, who's going to have to be very efficient on the brakes to get that position done. He does.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Gibson there. I'm just absolutely loving this Laramie and Piercy battle, which seems to have, it's one of those battles where it almost feels like it's been going on race long, not because it's boring, so to say, just because it's so enthralling. It's just brilliant stuff, and I hope it continues on for the second half of this race as we navigate 100R. The really testing corner on the front left in particular is where it's really going to try your tyres, and as we head further into the race, it might just start to offer a little bit of difficulties, although I think most of the tyres we have seen have been the rears on the M4 so far, seem to be the big pain point through some of the slow twisty stuff at the end of the lap, where drivers are really kind of hurting. Of course, this is the last race of the evening where they will have to really worry about negotiating the tyres and dealing with them, because we head into our sprints at the end. It's pretty much an all-out battle where you can go pedal to the metal, as if the drivers already aren't, with some very impressive lap times so far in this race. Cross that halfway mark, and now Gibson breaking away ever so slightly. Laramie and Piercy staying pretty much even Stevens, and another Aston Martin joins the scene in the form of Andy Dorman as they navigate that final corner. It's going to be a trifecta of Aston Martins, and that is a pretty good situation to be in no matter where you're on the world, isn't it? As you head down the start finish straight and into that first corner.
Yeah, superb sight, isn't it? Seeing the three Astons, and winning the battle at the moment is Paul Laramie. So Paul losing out a little bit to Oliver Gibson at the moment. As Jack Smith posts another fastest lap down in 9th place. That potentially is a bonus point for him, which could come into play by the end of the season. Just trying to work out the points gap between Norse and Smith in this one. 45 points for the win. Jack's down in 9th place, which is going to be 28, 26, 24, 22. There's a big chunk of points being taken at the moment by Gabe Norse out of Jack Smith in this one. I can't go back to the points the way they are at the start of the meetings. I can't remember what they got in race number 1, but it is going to keep things nice and close as we head towards our final event of the season. And there is a mandatory pit stop now for Le Mans, so it wasn't mandatory the previous one, and it caught a couple of drivers out, I think, but very definitely they have to stop at the last round.
That will definitely add a bit of intrigue in terms of strategy into that one. I'll have to endeavour that I can tune in to that one and tune in for some Le Mans action.
I think Becky's on there. You're not doing that. Is it Becky doing that? She's away, isn't she, at the moment? I think she's on holiday.
Hopefully. I mean, maybe. I'm sure she's got better things to do on her holiday. Maybe she's tuning in and showing a sport, which as she tends to do. It's always much appreciated. And I hope she's having a lovely time away and have a bit of respite. She's done some really nice stuff on the broadcast so far, hasn't she? So I think look forward to tuning in to some of her stuff for the final couple of rounds.
Becky, if you are watching, if you could do answers on a postcard, what is a holiday? I'd be interested to know. A holiday is not what Paul Laramie is getting at the moment, because he has got Lee Pearcy. I think he said Geoff Pearcy. I don't know why I was thinking of Lee's dad, Geoff, but really putting the pressure on is Lee Pearcy, still in 6th place. But as you said, Ree, this has been a superb battle between these two, and you know, all been clean and fair so far. That's the way these drivers are, and we might get the odd incident, you never know, but there certainly won't be any malice in it between the two of them. Seasoned VRRC drivers, and great to see them involved here as Piercy now goes for the move down the inside, goes for the send. Are we going to see a switch back here on the inside by Paul Laramie, and they're going to trade places again, side by side for the moment. Laramie has a little bit more momentum and gets the position back. Absolutely brilliant stuff from the pair of them. You see Andy Dorman trying to close in. Jack Smith is, I think, beginning to get a little bit closer to these two now, with Andy Dorman in the mid, yeah, very much so. With Christian Gillian in 9th place, Ollie Atkins is in 10th. The gap, though, Gabe Norse to Andy Carroll, still at around about 2.93 seconds. So Carroll's done a super job here as Lee Pearcy spears off the track. Oh, it's a shame that's come to an end.
Yeah, what a horrible shame that fantastic battle. Both drivers not showing any real signs of weakness in this race so far. Unfortunately, all comes to a rather rather sudden end, really, and that was a completely, effectively unforced error there. I think that I mentioned earlier on that this Aston is a shorter wheelbase. It's a smaller car. It's kind of supposed to be kind of small Porsche-sized, really. That's what that entry into the market is, and therefore it's a small car, short wheelbase, and I think it's just snapped on him by the looks of things as the tyres have begun to wear out. What a horrible shame for Lee Pearcey there. He will, I'm sure, be able to get back underway, but it's going to be for the lower positions. What a shame then this race goes his way. Jack Smith, though, is eager to capitalise, isn't he, and is all of a sudden attached to Paul Laramie as we head down through the Coca-Cola corner, which I have done some research. It is just a brand deal. It is just an existing brand deal, such as the benefit of modern technology. I don't need someone in my ear, you know, going and running off and finding that info for me, which is probably the best. I imagine if I did have someone in me telling me what to do, they'd probably just tell me to please stop and be quiet. But Jack Smith,
I get that all the time, believe you me.
Jack Smith had a look around the outside, though, as we head to the final half of the lap. Is still side by side. You've got a very handy kind of position indicator there to let you know when the driver is present alongside in the sim, and it was letting us know that Paul Laramie was still alongside there. He has now relented, has lost that position, settles for P6 for the time being, but we're not quite done with the Aston on Aston action yet. Lee Pearcey might no longer be involved, but Andy Dorman's ready to take his place and try and find a way past Paul Laramie as we head towards the end of this lap. Jack Smith up into P5 though, so once again another Jack Smith recovery seems to come to life almost in this race, in this half-an-hour race here at Fuji, while we see the two Astons that were briefly side by side now looking pretty settled, with Dorman up in P6, Laramie settling for P7, or I say settling, Gillian's on for another charge here and hoping to pick up some points.
Yeah, now we're seeing Andy Carroll showing at the top of the timing screen. So we've missed something with Gabe Norse dropping back. He's a second and a half down, Gabe Norse. So Andy Carroll, I said Gabe didn't look the happiest, did he, in race number 1? And it's Andy Carroll now who was keeping within sort of distance. Probably need to have a quick flick at the timing screen and pick up where they are. It is Carroll ahead of Norse on the little circuit tracer. And Norse will fight back for sure. So we've got a battle on potentially here for the lead. As you can see, smoking up the tyres and brakes as he goes into the corner there. But Andy Carroll, who maybe is finding the sweet spot on the McLaren once again, and potentially was putting a lot of pressure on Gabe. Maybe Gabe was looking at the time and thinking, certainly wasn't in the rear view mirrors being 3 seconds down, but time-wise, Gabe was probably aware that he wasn't getting away from that McLaren in second position, as we pick up on Ollie Atkins, who's just adrift of the Dorman-Gillian scrap, with the recovering Paul Laramie down behind as well. Actually, Paul Laramie's not recovering from anything, is he? I think he's dropped back actually behind Ollie. Sam Gumbley's down behind them in 10th place. So a little bit of, I was going to say, end of race drama here. We've still got 6 minutes to go in this one, as we again pick up on Christian Gillian, who's having a fairly decent run, as is Andy Carroll. Is Andy Carroll going to pick up another win here? He's keeping the gap at 1.3 seconds. Can Gabe Norse catch up? And I tell you what, the reason this has happened is because I started to write down the top 3 for the podium interviews, because if I leave it too late, I'll forget, and you know, something horrible will happen. But I start to write them down, and of course it all changes.
It is some scary power that your pen wields, isn't it? That
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I don't know what curse was put on it what curse was bestowed upon it to where its future was that it could affect the results of a sim racing league at Fuji. But I'm sure you might be able to sell that on eBay for some decent cash, perhaps if anyone wants that. I'm sure Max Verstappen would probably appreciate that pen right now.
He probably would, and I've got to be honest, some of the BTCC fans buy any old rubbish, and I get hassled on the way out of a BTCC meeting. Can I have your shirt? I've literally had someone say, can I have your shirt? Well, no, actually, I need it for the next round. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But,
it's also very warm at the moment, isn't it? That's probably not...
Oh, I see. Yeah, we want an unwashed shirt. Absolutely gross, but anyway. I don't think we're allowed to give that sort of branded stuff away anyway, but it's nice that people take an interest, to be fair, but... you have to try and sort of give people other souvenirs that they might want. As Gillian now 7th, Andy Dorman. There's some unexpected points being scored here, I would say. Ollie Atkins has come through up into 8th place, Sam Gumbley into 10th, Josh Brennan again scoring well in 11th place, Andy Carroll keeping that gap back to Gabe Norse with 1.2. It is going to be interesting to catch up with Gabe after this one. It is good points for him. And he's still scoring well. So 2nd place in the race, 40 points, and 5th where Jack Smith is at the moment, 30. So it's 10 points down out of the 15, but he lost a few on race 1 as Sam Gumbley starts to close in on Paul Laramie. So maybe it's a tyres thing here, and Gumbley's got a little bit more wear left in his tyres as he slots up the inside and challenges for 9th place.
Yeah, brilliant stuff here. Paul Laramie involved in plenty of action, maybe not all of it quite going the way that he would have wanted, but I'm sure he's having a great time out there nonetheless. Gumbley fighting for that top 10 as much as he did in race 1, in fact, and seems to be having a nice time out there, of course. Last time things seemed to go quite well for him at turn 1 when he had that battle, and also found himself taking 2 positions for the price of 1. This time it was a much more simple affair there, but go back on board with Norse. He's within a second of Andy Carroll there in the mighty McLaren. The only McLaren I think that we've seen have quite such success so far this season. I'd love to know what the secret formula is there. What has he cracked that has just made him gel so well with that car? But it is nice to see that, you know, there might be a car, I think it's fair to say, in the sim racing community, whether it be an Assetto or whether it be iRacing, when this kind of car, when this M4 launched, it was well regarded and well known. It was a very capable machine. So it's nice to see that even though we have a big capable car here in our fleet for us to use, the other cars are still more than capable of getting the nose in and having a good result out there. So it's nice to see that there is a nice level playing field in that regard.
Absolutely right. Really good, and a super championship with the variety of cars that we've got. Well done to Rich for sorting that out and giving the guys the options of the various cars as well. 3 minutes 3 remaining on the clock, and at the moment it looks like it's going to be double podiums for Andy Carroll and Kieran Haynes. Carroll probably wasn't expecting to grab a win here, but he was certainly keeping the timing pressure on Gabe Norse, even though I don't think maybe got close enough to force the mistake. We'll have to hear from the men themselves at the end of it as we watch Ollie Atkins in 8th place, looking to back up the 5th position that he got in race number 1. So Ollie's going to be scoring pretty well as well. The top 10 in race 1 was Haynes, Smith, Carroll, Gibson and Atkins top 5. Then Norse, Hayden, Brennan, Gumbley and Turner wrapping up the top 10. So we are seeing a mixture of results as we ride on board with Gabe Norse again. 2 minutes 22. The one thing you know about Norse, he's not going to give up until the checkered flag finishes. He'll be focusing very much on the correct line around the track, and then once he's done that over the last couple of laps, we'll try and have a go at Andy Carroll. The last lap for the pair, 200ths quicker was Gabe Norse, so not really enough to close in the gap, although it comes down to less than a second now. 1 minute 55 on the clock as they cross the line, so 2 laps to go. Andy Carroll could probably do with it being 1 lap to go, and Gabe Norse is trying to close down. The clock is running out, but the one thing, as I say, that we do know is that Gabe will hunt him down all the way to the flag as Gillian tries to close back on Ollie Atkins in 7th place, but Carroll, Norse and Haynes the podium. Ollie Gibson still 4th. Jack Smith is in 5th place, 4 seconds down on him. Things relatively settled as we get into the last 2 laps of Fuji of our penultimate race of the evening.
We do indeed, of course. Sprint race comes up after this one. Gillian in that slipstream then, gaining ever so slightly on Ollie Atkins' M4. Into the first corner we go, but not quite close enough to make any major impact just yet. And by impact I mean overtake. I don't mean quite literally. We don't want any of that into the first corner. Quick hello to Christine in the broadcast chat, who is supporting Kieran this evening, and Kieran's doing a very nice job indeed, of course. Great result in race 1, and is on at least. I'm not going to say he's going to get a podium. I don't want to put that curse on just yet, but he's on for a podium.
I've written him down. I've written him down.
I can apportion all the blame onto yourself then. The mighty pen has spoken.
It has. I think he'll be all right, to be perfectly honest. He's in P3 at the moment. It's sound, isn't it? He's 10 seconds down on the leading pair, which we're looking at the moment. 23 seconds on the clock, so heading in towards the last lap. And You know, Gabe Norse busy chasing, needs to add to that 6th place that he got. Here we come across the line, 9 seconds remaining here. And is this going to be one of the ones, I said this before, and I can't remember if it was Becky or whoever it was I was commentating with before. If I'd have had another lap, I'd have been all right. Is generally what we get from drivers, and that could be the case here for Gabe Norse. He's close enough to make a challenge now, and will Andy Carroll be under pressure? I think he is at the moment. So I don't know what the issue was. We didn't see that, but Andy would dearly love to bag another win. He won race 1 last time out. So this time, let's put this in perspective. He's got this one after taking a podium in race number 1 and starting way back on the reverse grid. So whether it's P1 or P2, this is another great drive from Andy Carroll either way.
Is it indeed? And I'll be very much looking forward to hearing what he has to say about this one, because he just seems to have really got into his stride with this car recently. It is very enjoyable to see it and bring on the championship fight towards the end.
Superb stuff from him as we see Carroll still there. We've got a little bit of traffic coming up as well for Andy Carroll. It's is it Robert Shepherd he's closing up on, and anyway he's coming on to out the last corner now, so it looks like it is going to be game over, and it is going to be a checkered flag for Andy Carroll to take the win. Carroll takes it from Gabe Norse in P2. Carroll, I think, is going to get to start on the pole position in this one. There he goes across the line, takes the win. Gabe Norse running very strong at the end and takes P2. It was Jacob Lander, in fact, that they passed, wasn't it, in the closing stages? He's showing 3rd on the timing screen, that will drop down a lap down, will Jacob. So 3rd position will go to Kieran Haynes. So we didn't kill off Kieran's hope with the pen. He completes the podium. It's going to be Oliver Gibson in 4th from Jack Smith in P5. Then Andy Dorman in 6th place. There is Jack Smith crossing the line now. Andy Dorman will be next up. Goodness me, I'll tell you what, these guys are going to be very hot and sweaty. It's side by side between Dorman and Ollie Atkins coming down to the flag, but it is Dorman that gets 6th from Ollie. Good late run from Ollie Atkins. Christian Gillian takes 8th from Sam Gumberley, and Jacob Lander still dropping down the order. He is down towards the tail end of the field. 10th go to Mason Turner from Josh Brennan. Paul Laramie in 13th place. Josh Brennan sort of marking himself out here with a top 10 in race 1 and another best result there, potentially for driver of the round. So we'll see what he does in the last race. Let me flick back up. 12th was Paul Laramie, 13th Rich Hayden, Chris Blakey, Zach Hancock, Lee Piercy, Robert Shepherd, complete finishing drivers. So that's how we go. Jacob Lander being the last one of them that we saw. But well done to Andy Carroll, the race winner. Gabe Norse 2nd, Kieran Haynes 3rd. And it'll be podium interview time in just a minute. The second ad break is always very quick and almost catches me out. And the race didn't catch out the man who won race 1, Kieran Haynes. Kieran, congratulations on a P3 to add to your win, and congratulations to you on your win earlier on as well. Nice for me to have my first chat of the evening with you. How are things? I think Kieran's maybe on mute. Have we got you, Kieran? Are you there? Come in, Kieran, over to you. I'll say what I said before. Well done on adding a 3rd place to the win, Kieran. Looks like you're on mute at the moment. Oh, he's off mute now. Well done on the win, and nice to have the chance to chat to you. How are things going?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is going good, yeah. I had a race, I missed a cut in last week, and I come P3, so yeah, it's been going good.
That's good. And, you know, you were saying to Reeve earlier on your first interview that you're not that keen on the track, so... does that make you attack it more? Do you have to concentrate more when you don't like the track? I mean, you're always on or near the podium, so, you know, it's not unusual to be getting interviews with you. But, really, really smart performances, and I think you've got pole for the final race.
Oh, yeah. I just hope I don't have a bad start again. A new track. To be fair, I just drive and just really just don't over push it, and I just keep it within what I got. So it's just about learning those little bits and what curbs to really attack. So it's just a learning curve, really.
How many hours practice did you do on this one?
I've done like 25, maybe 30 laps.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say 25, 30 hours, but that's not a huge amount of laps, is it, practice? So you're obviously a quick learner.
Yeah.
Does school studies go as quickly as learning racetracks?
Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Best subjects?
Best subjects, none.
No, all right, okay. We'll leave it there school-wise, but super stuff. We overran on the first lot of interviews, so I'm going to say well done again, and we're going to move on to Reeve and our P2 interview. So well done, Kieran, and hopefully catch up with you after the sprint race.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Reeve.
Thank you very much, Richard. Moving on to our driver in P2. Gabriel Norse, it is a pleasure to chat to you once more. Been a little while, and so far it's only been an action-packed evening, hasn't it, Gabriel? But have you enjoyed Fuji nonetheless?
Yeah, it's definitely a good track to drive around. I mean, race 1 was a bit of a nightmare towards the end, and race 2 I kind of bottled it by spinning out in the final corner on about 10 minutes to go, which was quite annoying.
Yeah, we did. We were kind of thinking. We looked at the top end, and all of a sudden we saw that there was a bit of a gap, and thank you for clearing that up. Then, I guess. But still, to say you must be running well. If you're having an incident like that, if you say it was final corner, you lose a lot of speed there, and you've still come home P2 in the end. So it must have been good going. Otherwise, to say that is. Are you hoping maybe that the 15-minute sprint, then you might be able to maybe go for that one position higher on the podium? With a bit of a chance to just kind of put the foot down a bit more and maybe chances for fewer mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the 15-minute race suits me a bit more, because I think I was just killing my tyres towards the end of both races. So yeah, I think 15-minute race will just be a lot easier on the tyres, and hopefully I won't have as dramatic a fall off in pace.
We did see, to be fair, your rears certainly at various points when we first saw us. We had an in-car shot of yourself in race 1. You did a very nice catch, but we just saw all of the steering foot going in, and that's the first kind of inclination that those rears might be a little bit dropping off. And I think Andy Carroll also picked it up from his point of view as well, that your rears did seem to be struggling. Is this something a trait that you've kind of noticed elsewhere with this car this season so far? Any other tracks where you've kind of had a similar feeling?
I think this is really the first track where it's been properly like a problem for us in the BMs. I mean, all of the other tracks aren't, like, maybe apart from Qatar, they aren't really too demanding on the rear tyres that much. So I mean, it's definitely something that I'm kind of hoping is exclusive to Fuji. But yeah, I think hopefully it should just be a bit better in this race, and hopefully in the next few rounds.
We certainly hope so, because what we want from our point of view as well is everyone to have brilliant tyres, so that we can all just go flat out and go for every overtake that you can. I'm sure you'll have plenty of opportunities to do that in the upcoming race. Of course, not many races to go. Have you got one eye on that championship already, or are you just kind of playing it cool before Bahrain and Le Mans?
I mean, this round hasn't gone particularly well, so I kind of just need to more manage my expectations for the next few rounds, because I think going into this I was over 30 points behind Jack, and just need to kind of claw away at that, and hopefully in this race I can just claw a few more points back at him.
Well, we wish you all the best on that front then, Gabriel. Congratulations on P2. We hope to speak to you, if not this evening. I'm sure there's a very good chance that we will, but if not, in the rest of the races this season. So congratulations on another podium.
Thank you.
Well done, Gabe. And thanks, Reeve. Nice to Gabe. Very honest there about the mistake saying he bottled it. Not too many drivers will do that. You get excuses, but none from Gabe, which is a joy to hear. Well done, Gabe, on P2. And equally well done, it is the hot summer for 76. Andy Carroll, another win. Well done, Andy.
Thank you. Cheers.
Sorry, another corny comment from me, but
that's fine.
well done. Yeah, I mean, superb stuff. You know, when you won race 1, you were saying, oh yeah, you know, you started off the front last week for race 1 because it was the top 15 reverse. But that one, you had a podium in race 1, so you started at the back of the group, virtually the back of the whole field, very nearly, and still came through and got the win. You've got to be there to do it, haven't you? So well done. That must have been really, really satisfying.
Yeah, good first couple of corners, which meant didn't have that many people. Didn't realise Gabe was on, so that he was a couple of cars ahead. I was like, okay, right. Stick with it. See if I can sort of not lose too much time behind him. And yeah, it was yo-yoing a little bit. He got a couple of tenths, I took a couple of tenths, and then I had a few good laps, and so I don't know, because I was kind of getting closer to him that he tried to carry a bit too much speed into that final corner, but yeah, I just saw him real.
And I can't quite work the points out whether it's yourself or Kieran.
I think we've had the same results when we've won.
You have, yeah. So is it who gets the fastest lap or something that determines who gets pole?
Yeah, we should both be on the front. See who's there coming out the first corner.
Yeah, should be a good one. Any thoughts? I mean, you're happy with the sprint race? Obviously, the McLaren seems to be doing well in the longer races, and the way you've managed the tyres has worked well.
Yeah, I think obviously the BM's gonna maybe suffer as much with the tyres in this one, so it might make them a bit more difficult to catch. But yeah, fingers crossed. Again, it's gonna have, I guess, Gabe and Kieran around me, and so it's gonna be it's gonna be tough should be a tough battle, should be a good battle, and hopefully we can still be there or thereabouts come the end.
Okay, well, congratulations on double podium, which you and Kieran have both done. Superb to watch, and good luck for the sprint race.
Cheers.
Thanks, Andy. Andy Carroll, race winner. Second position goes to Gabe Norris. Third position goes to Kieran Haynes, and we are looking forward to the decider, if you want to call it that. It doesn't really decide the overall points or anything like that, but it just sort of rounds off our evening in a lovely way with a sprint race based on the results, the grid based on the results of our first 2 races. If you've not joined us before, 15 minutes, and the points are added up. Top point scorers from the 2 races that we've had thus far, determining the grid for this one. And I look down the order that we've had. I say Andy and Kieran have had a first and a third each. Gabe Norse had a second and a 6. Ollie Gibson's had 2-4, so Ollie's been quick and consistent as well. What else have we got? Ollie Atkins, I think, was just outside. He was just outside top 5. So Ollie Atkins has had a 5th and a 7th. And the other ones that we needed to look at, I think, Christian Gillian, he was outside the top 10 in the first race. Sam Gumley's had a brace of 9ths, which is good. So I think so far, on average, I was about to say very nearly his best round of the campaign, but he had an 8th and an 11th last time out at COTA in the first 2 races, so he's been consistent. Mason Turner has had a brace of 10th positions, and again, that's kind of outside what he's been doing. But we've had some strong stuff from Josh Brennan, who I think finished just outside the top 10 in that one. But Josh Brennan, the driver that has beaten all of his previous results in both races at this round so far. So good, quick stuff from Josh. And again, we'll have to see what he does in the third and final race. We've got some serious thinking to do in terms of our driver of the round. We have had a double winner already so far in the campaign. Andy Carroll won at Imola, driver of the round, and Nurburgring. Kieran Haynes won driver of the round at Losail. It was Gabe North's Spa and Zach Hancock's Circuit of the Americas last week. So whether we're going to get a new one or not, it remains to be seen. We've only got 15 minutes to make our minds up as we head towards the third and final race of the evening. Just 2 rounds to go. We'll talk more about those as we wrap up our programme a little bit later on. But Reeve, I think we've got an interesting sprint race in prospect.
That the sprint racing is what's going to suit them best. We know that the M4 as well seems to be eating its rear tyres up a little bit here at Fuji, so that's courtesy of the great insight from some of our drivers we've chatted to. So that kind of opens up a bit of a performance window for the M4s as well. Maybe bring some of those back into contention, which I say back into contention, I mean maybe just puts a bit of a higher challenge towards the sole McLaren and a couple of Astons that are fighting in that top 10 as well. So new format of race for the evening, a track that we don't visit all that often. I think we're in for a real treat.
Yeah, I've got to say every VRRC race and evening is a treat. If you know someone that's into racing that wants to come and race with us, then put the word out. I've been doing it as I go around the paddocks. I'm looking forward to a classic car show this weekend, so I shall be peddling the wares of the VRRC there and trying to encourage them, as I was last Wednesday, talking to the Mazda Scholarship people. So it'd be lovely if we can do some work with the Mazda MX-5 people for their scholarship as well, maybe over the winter. We could probably end up doing too many championships, but maybe that's not an issue. We can get more people involved and have a few more evenings where we have some fun. It's Kieran Haynes who got polled anyway from this one. Andy Carroll will start alongside Jack Smith and Gabe Norse, with Oliver Gibson and Ollie Atkins right behind. We've got all of the front runners right at the sharp end here. It's going to be very interesting first few corners, one would say, and we are only 30 seconds away from our final race. You need the kind of cheesy music they have in Formula One now. I'll tell you what, I don't think they really need that. It started doing it on Formula E, and I absolutely hate it because the races are exciting enough without all the Billy Bollocks music that they put on the start of it. The build-up should just be down to the voices, I think. That's what we've got here with 15 seconds to go. Lighting sequence getting ready. Haynes and Carroll, Smith, Norse, Gibson and Atkins, your top 6, ready to do battle here on the Mount Fuji Speedway Grand Prix circuit. And good luck, everybody. Stay safe. Have fun. That's the main thing. It's hot and the racing is about to be even hotter. Looks like a quick start there by Rich Hayden, who break ranks quite quickly to try and tee up the inside. But it's Kieran Haynes that's got his nose in front as they go into turn 1 from Andy Carroll. Jack Smith is in third, going round the outside of Gabe Norse. So Smith and Norse side by side in the early stages, something that we are quite keen to see. But it's Haynes, Carroll, Norse and Smith as they head around the first part of the opening lap. That was a good, clean first few corners from our front runners. Okay, I think we might be having some audio issues here. Certainly bandwidth has been in and out today for me here. I think maybe Reeve or Steve can ping me a message to let me know if you can hear me now. Steve's got me back. I think Reeve's going to do a reboot. Reeve, once you get back in, if you can hear me, just ping back in. Very pixely picture I'm looking at the moment, but nevertheless we will deal with that. So it's Haynes from Carroll, Gabe Norse in third place, and Norse trying to close down on Carroll with Jack Smith, Oliver Gibson down behind him as well. So early stages of this 15-minute race, and already we've only got 12 minutes left of our third race of the evening. and a very good start by Kieran Haynes. Is Kieran going to grab his first W in this WL race? Certainly made a good start. Really good prep for him in terms of the first two races. Nearly tempted to call them heats, but this isn't the final, is it? Because there aren't any extra points available on this one. But Kieran Haynes, you know, what we were predicting he was going to do a couple of rounds back has really come to fruition now. But he will still have a fair amount of work to do as we watch Sam Gumbley, who's had a good consistent evening, trying to get stuck in at the moment, dicing with Mason Turner. Christian Gillian down in behind as well in the yellow and black. Let's see whether this one will end up in favour of Christian Gillian making up spaces. He's had a good consistent evening well as Christian. But it's still Haynes out front, still barely see. It's like watching race through fog at the moment for me on my screen. As I say, that might be down to my bandwidth more than anything else. But it is Kieran Haynes who, now what's happened to Kieran? Dropped back down the order. So it's Andy Carroll now the race leader, as Kieran had some sort of issue. Again, apologies that I haven't spotted that or seen that with the screen. What I can see now is Jack Smith going through on the inside of Gabe Norse and giving him a little bit of a tap as he went through. And Norse is going to try and get the position back. They go side by side. This is the battle for the championship between Norse and Jack Smith, who's made it up into P2. Oliver Gibson coming up in the mix as well. Down behind them, it's Ollie Atkins. Kieran Haynes down in 17th. I wonder if Kieran's had a blip on his server as well. Very possibly. Again, apologies for not being able to see what happened as we go back and see Lee Piercy chasing Josh Brennan, who's had a decent evening. Brennan, and looking again for another good strong finish here in 9th place at the moment. But Lee Piercy gets his nose on the inside, which converts the outside for the next corner. So Piercy working hard. Then we've got Christian Gillian up ahead of Chris Blakey. Piercy's going to tee up the inside run here to try and move up into 9th place, which he does. Nice clean move there. Josh Brennan having some clean racing as well in the 24. And it's still Andy Carroll out front, this time from Jack Smith. 1.41 seconds the gap at the moment from Oliver Gibson in 3rd. Gibson now up ahead of Gabe Norse, who's going to try and fight back. Ollie Atkins is having a very good run here as well, the Swift Cooper runner. Gibson runs wide, and this is going to allow Norse to come back in. I thought tee up the inside run as they come along the main straight, but he can't quite do it. So it's a three-way fight for 3rd position with one third distance completed as Atkins looks down the inside, getting the Swift Coopers muddle up here, and he's going to try and get past Gabe Norse, who, you know, despite not looking the happiest this evening, has pulled a decent point score out of the bag, to be perfectly honest with Gabe. And that's the mark of a champion. Remember, he's our reigning touring car champion, Gabe Norse. And if you have a round that doesn't work for you, it's about what you salvage out of that. And, you know, Gabe will always do that. A P2 despite a spin in race number 2. Really good result for him and a good salvaging of points. Sometimes it's not the wins that get you the championship. It's those incidental results that come through and stack up for you at the end of the season. Carroll still leading from Smith though, 0.7 of a second. Smith looking for his first win of the evening. Andy Carroll looking to make it a double, at the very least maybe a hat-trick of podia for the end of the evening for him, with 9 minutes remaining. And at the moment, Norse still chasing Oliver Gibson in 3rd. Remember, Gibson fighting with Kieran Haynes for 3rd in the championship. The fact that Kieran has dropped down the order significantly, I think, is going to put Oliver Gibson back into P3 in the provisional standings. But we've got a battle for the lead developing now with 8 minutes to go, and it's BMW chasing McLaren. McLaren of Andy Carroll out front at the moment. Smith in P2. Let's see whether he can close him down. We've seen some vintage Smith, we said, in race number 1 as he clawed his way back from the issues that he had at the start of that one. He was down in 12th, 13th place in the early stages, fought his way back up. 2 really good strong finishes putting him up onto the 2nd row of the grid for this final race of the evening, and he's working really, really hard, as is Gabe Norse, who's got back into 3rd place. Norse back ahead of Gibson. Ollie Atkins losing touch with the top 4 just a little bit. He'll try and reclaim that as the race continues. Have we got Reeve back now?
Fuji, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Reeve. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be back. I've been able to watch this for the past couple of minutes. It has been great stuff, and thank you for filling in there, Richard. You were really in a good flow there. I feel like I'm interrupted. I'm ruining your good time out there in the comments box.
Not at all. You've come back to a battle though.
Yeah, I have indeed. We're on board with Jack Smith at the moment. Andy Carroll, who's done an immense job in that McLaren all evening long, really, is now under threat from Jack Smith. And I think this is it's been an interesting tale for both these drivers. Both these drivers have looked formidable at various different points this evening, and now we're finally having that culmination of they're finally having that coming together. It's like, you know, it's like two gladiators finally getting the chance to battle at the end of a tournament almost. Now we're finally getting to see that this evening, and there's only a 3/10 separating them. Jack Smith has all the work to do, has all the straight line speed probably in that M4, but Andy Carroll's McLaren just looks so eager, particularly through the high speed corners there. It just seems to get up and go.
It does. You know what? And Norse could pinch this if they engage. If it's a longer battle than needs be, then Norse could come up. He's got the pace anyway on his own to be able to do that. And maybe Oliver Gibson will come back in the mix as well. And there's the proof. Norse has got the fastest lap, and Jack Smith gets the lead, dives down the inside. We've seen the BMWs do that in the earlier races. So it wasn't to be a battle for the lead. It was a swift pass, not a swift Cooper pass, but a swift Jack Smith. The Hopposaurus taking a major bite out of the McLaren and getting the Hopcavern car into the lead from Andy Carroll now in P2, and Gabe Norse in third. Good points here for Gabe, but losing at the moment, first to third, 9 points. It's interesting that Gabe was saying in his interview with you, he thought he was 30 points down. Unless I wrote them down wrong, I thought only 15 points down on Jack coming into this evening. So maybe the scenario not as bad as he thought, but he doesn't want to lose too many going into Bahrain and then Le Mans, because although Le Mans is triple points, it is only the one race. You've only got the one shot at those points. If you know, have a bad race one in the triple headers, you've got the other two races to come back. But it's very much a one-shot thing, isn't it? The final race of the campaign, and you're not allowed to drop that one. As Oliver Gibson starts to close in as well. It could be a three-way battle for second place before too long, but Jack Smith trying to check out. He's got the gap up to 8/10.
Yeah, nice progression there. Oh, there we go. My audio is back properly. There we go. Always have technical issues late on in the evening. Always has to be the way. But Oliver Gibson in fourth at the moment. Norse just ahead. Some nice even separation between all of these drivers as they navigate their way down the start-finish straight. Ollie Atkins just about hanging on in the top five there. And then we have another relatively close duo of Dorman and Mason Turner, who we haven't seen too much of so far this evening. So great to see Mason with some good points on the cards for him there in the final 5 minutes of this race. Of course, much shorter formats. Drivers can pretty much throw caution to the wind in terms of their tyres. In terms of nothing else, they should throw caution to the wind, but in terms of their tyres, they kind of can. Of course, the cars will start this race lighter as well, so they will inherently have a bit more pace available to them, and that McLaren, as we well know from Andy Carroll, is very eager when it's got a light tank, when it's got a much less weight in it, when it's got a low fuel level in it. That McLaren's already pretty handy, so it should be a good chance for maybe an Andy Carroll recovery if he can get something to work in the next couple of laps. But Jack Smith seems to have really risen to the occasion in this evening's race finally.
He has. So are we going to have three different winners? I don't think we had three different winners last week. So there's kind of a pattern developing as we move along in the championship. Seemingly, I think as more drivers get to grips with their machinery, with their chosen car throughout the course of the campaign. You can see here, final race of the evening, we've got the top four all within shot, which is a nice thing to see. Very nice thing to have. They're not battling at the moment, apart from just trying to play a little bit of a game of timing cat and mouse with each other. How long have we got? Only got 3 minutes to go. Where's that gone? Driver of the round, difficult one. I think Josh Brennan has got to be in the mix for the the real upping of his game this evening. I'm sure he's just not had the rub of the green in previous ones, but all three of his results have bettered previous ones, so he is going to be in the mix as well. I think we maybe have to look at Andy Carroll again, perhaps as driver of the round, and maybe Kieran Haynes for a second one as well. Carroll's already had two this one so far. Having said that, Kieran Haynes, of course, has dropped away in this one, which is a pity. Where is Kieran? Just trying to look on the timing screen, see if we can spot him. Might have dropped off the server. Go back to the screen. But a few options, and we probably need to give that some consideration before we get too much further into it. With 2 minutes 40 to go, where are the race leaders on track? It looks like my timing screen is frozen as well. Everything's freezing. My main work PC is frozen as well. They decided to buy me a new one, which is quite handy. Smith is working his way around 2 minutes 24. It's going to be another 2 laps to go at the end of this one.
Well, indeed, not longer to go. I wonder if the internet hamster just needs to spin his wheel a little bit faster. Maybe that's why we're having all of these technical issues. Or something's probably the HS2. Maybe someone just cut the big internet line. Who knows? Who knows what's happened? Or everyone's just knocked their streaming services on for some type of World Cup match. I'm not sure what the timings are like on that, so I don't know whether something like that's going on at the moment. Either way, all seems to be relatively stable. And now just goes to show the world of virtual racing. You know, we might not have the mechanical issues that you can have in the world of real racing, but there's certainly technical issues that can arise for drivers, arise for the people behind the scenes as well. So interesting point there. But Norse versus Carroll as it goes side by side. Great shot from inside the car of Norse, which is one that we've gone for a few times so far this evening, because you get a great perspective of exactly what Gabe's seeing, but also what Andy Carroll is doing from eye level pretty much. So it is brilliant to see here, and just how brave you have to be to pull off these side by side moves, and to both be on the defence and on the attack in those situations. Carroll worms his way back up into P2 for the time being. I think this is very much his race now. He can effectively release Jack Smith and go for his race victory this evening. But Carroll should instead be, I imagine, focusing on defending P2 and then taking those points into the penultimate round so he can fight for that championship.
Yeah, that's exactly what all that is about, isn't it? And as soon as I mentioned Josh Brennan as potential driver of the round, he drops down to 16th place.
Oh.
And I didn't write it down. Hey ho, there we go. Hey, Jack Smith's still the leader. Yeah, Gabe Norse needs to try and get past to get the extra way. He's really hassling the second place car of Andy Carroll at the moment, and it's almost deja vu for him, isn't it? Because he was busy chasing. I think he's dropped back now from Andy. So yeah, maybe run out of tyres again. Andy, oh no, he hasn't. It's Oliver Gibson, isn't it? Back in 4th position. So Gabe still trying to, no, he has dropped back actually, yeah, so it's looking relatively safe as across the line goes Jack Smith onto the last lap. Then with a little bit of a gap is Andy Carroll in P2, and I know we've given Andy Carroll 2 driver of the rounds already, but I'm tempted to maybe give him a 3rd driver of the round, and feel free to ping in on the Discord chat if you want to do something, but definitely mentions in dispatches for Kieran Haynes in races 1 and 2. Yeah, actually Reeves just come up with a really good choice as well for one of the battles we were looking at earlier on. So I'm actually going to give the casting vote to Reeve, which we'll do at the end of this race when we've got the ad break
tricky
on. No, not at all. I can tell you stories about being given that poison chalice in the past. Steve's thrown his weight into it as well, which I kind of agree with.
Yeah, I'll lean on Steve in that situation then.
Yeah. We won't tell the viewers who it is until we get to the podium, but Steve, I think that's a good shout. Thank you, Reeve, for popping that idea in as well. But we are over time in this race, so it means we're on the last lap. Jack Smith, 1.8 seconds clear of Andy Carroll, with Gabe Norse 3rd after a spirited attempt to try and get past. It is going to be another podium for Gabe Norse by the look of it, and another 2nd position, another podium for Andy Carroll, who will be the only driver to make it a treble podium at this event. But it's going to be Jack Smith that will head down to take the win. He's going past the pit entrance now, so heading down towards the virtual checker, and it is a first win of the evening for Jack Smith. He takes the checker, buzzes the pit wall. Well done, Jack. So 3 different winners this evening. Andy Carroll gets 3 podiums again. A little wiggle on from the McLaren confirms and celebrates that for P2. Gabe Norse with another sterling effort on the podium in P3. And Oliver Gibson in 4th position. Good strong run from him. Ollie Atkins 5th. Good result for Ollie. And Andy Dorman in P6, completing a decent evening's racing for him. Remember that race that he had earlier on. Mason Turner 7th from Lee Piercy. Your top 10 completed by Chris Blakey, and the recovering Kieran Haynes. Sorry, Kieran, I couldn't find you on the timing screen in my panic earlier on. Sam Gumbly, 11th for Paul Laramie, Christian Gillian, Rich Hayden, Josh Brennan, Zach Hancock's, Jacob Lander, and Robert Shepherd in 18th. Got to say, good strong entry, despite it being summertime. People are out, people are working, and maybe too hot to do sim racing, but a good strong entry this evening, which we thank everybody for. And we'll have our top 3 interviews in just a couple of moments. Please stay with us.
I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and Helen was always there, supporting me through everything. Today, we're facing a new challenge. Helen has been diagnosed with a terrible disease. Dementia is nothing less than a worldwide epidemic. Formula One moves fast. By contrast, medical research can be painfully slow. We want to bring some of our Formula One technology into the laboratories. Our charity, Race Against Dementia, will help to accelerate the pace of dementia research. Let's beat dementia together.
Four interviews for our closing podium, starting with driver of the round. So we're going to hand over to Reeve for the first of our interviews.
Thank you very much, Richard, and I'm pleased to announce that our driver of the round this round is Mr. Andy Carroll. Andy Dorman, not Andy Carroll. Sorry, we've been speaking a lot about Andy Carroll this evening, but Andy Dorman, you are our driver of the round. Congratulations. We ended up picking you based on a fantastic bit of Aston Martin action in race 2, where we saw sometimes a duo involving yourself and Paul Laramie, sometimes a trio involving Lee Piercy as well. We just really enjoyed that battle. It seemed to go on all race. It seemed to be really good fun. And maybe would you like to talk us through it from our point of view?
It all happened that quick. I can't really remember much of it. Apart from getting out backwards into the wall and then gathering it together and catching them again.
Well, that goes to show some brilliant resilience, doesn't it? And even more deserving of driver of the round on that front. Of course, in race 3 then as well, some good results, some good points. So overall, pleasant weekend for you?
Yeah, it's not been a bad weekend. I haven't really got to grips with Fuji yet. I'm quite glad it's over now.
Fair enough. I think it seems to be fairly split among the drivers. A lot of the drivers saying, "Oh, not my favourite track." Some seem to quite enjoy it. I mean, those who say, "Oh, it's not my favourite," have still seemed to have done quite well out of it. So I guess that's something positive to take away from it. You're much more kind of focused on the remaining 2 tracks. Then looking forward to those.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the last 2. I mean, Fuji, some of the corners just felt like you were driving on gravel. So you had no confidence going into them, just hoping you were going to come out the other side facing the right way.
I mean, can we rule out that maybe some gravel had been brought onto the track and perhaps you were driving on gravel?
There is a good possibility of that, to be fair.
We did see the odd interesting, I mean, particularly for one, going back to that race 2 action, actually, which we were hoping wasn't going to end. It did end quite quickly for Lee Piercy, where we saw him exit a corner and the Aston just appeared to say, no, I don't want to be on the tarmac anymore. And it just seemed to kind of snap off. Is that a behaviour that you've noticed with this car?
Yeah, it does seem to be quite snappy, and it gives you a little bit of warning, and then there's not a great deal you can do about it. You've just got to hold on till it stops and you can gather yourself again.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I kept rabbiting on about it in comms during the race, but it seems to be a relatively shorter car compared to the other 2. So I imagine if that short wheelbase makes it a little bit unforgiving, because we know it's got some grunts. It's obviously got plenty of downforce on it as well. So I imagine it's just a case of it can kind of bite when perhaps you wouldn't want it to.
Yeah, it bites quite vicious when it wants to.
Maybe not as bitey as those M4s with big teeth on the front of them that we have got elsewhere in the field, but. Still biting nonetheless. Either way, Andy, congratulations on driver of the round, and look forward to seeing you enjoy some successes further on in the season.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Reeve. Well done, Andy. Congratulations on driver of the round, and congratulations to Gabe Norse, who got to talk to Reeve earlier on. So I've muscled Reeve out of the way so I can get a chat with you, Gabe. Well done. Difficult round. but some good points scored nonetheless.
Yeah, it was like a decent round, I'd say. I mean, first race definitely could have gone better at the end. But yeah, I think the final race, I'm not gonna say too much, but that was a move that I didn't really agree with too much. But we'll have to see what the stewards say on that one.
They've always got some work to do, haven't they, the stewards, for sure.
Yeah.
Going back to the comment you made to I think it was 15 points. You mentioned about 30 points. Unless I've written it down wrong coming into this evening, I thought 15 points to Jack. So still very much all to play for. And thoughts on Bahrain? Is that one that you're more familiar with than Fuji? And are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Although I thought it was going to be the GP layout, not the endurance one. So that's going to be an interesting one to learn. And
are you busy personally at the moment? What does a Gabe Norse week look like at the minute?
Wake up at 10:30 probably.
That's quite early for a teen. Yeah, I'm guessing you're a teenager still.
yeah, still.
That's
16.
quite early for a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, not really got anything to do at the moment, so yeah, just kind of wake up late, stay in bed for a while, and then
helping around the house, doing a bit of gardening for your dad, that kind of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I tell you what, I mean, going back, I remember what it was like to be at school, and I think school days, you earn your holidays, you guys anyway, so you enjoy it, and we look forward to for next week. But well done on brace of podiums on a difficult evening, and we'll see what Ian Danaher says about issues that arise. So hopefully it will be sorted out the right way.
Yep, hopefully. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. Thanks for entertaining us. Well done, and we'll see you on Bahrain.
Yeah,
Gabe Norse.
Thanks.
Well done, mate. Gabe Norse there in third position. I'm going to hand back over to Reeve for the top two steps of the podium this evening.
Thank you very much, Richard, and what an evening it has been so far. So pleased once again to chat to Andy Carroll. Lovely to speak to you once again. This means if I have another opportunity to chat to you, it's been a successful evening, hasn't it?
Yeah, certainly can't complain about that. Match last week, which was first, second, third in the 3 races. So, no, can't complain at all about another strong evening. So, yeah, I think that's kind of hopefully that helps with the third place in the table, and then just got 2 more rounds to try and have a good result and secure that. And if that were to happen, that would be a dream come true too. So
I certainly would, and I think the momentum is definitely behind you at the moment. So I think it's clear off the back of the previous 2 rounds. I mean, maybe you can the maths would support the idea that you could actually go for higher than third in the championship, of course. I mean, obviously reality can sometimes differ, but off the back of your performances, I think you deserving certainly of the upper end stuff there, because what a drive it's been. Do you think it's just been a case of a car track combo that's worked really well in particular, or do you genuinely think that this is now your baseline, you can kind of carry on putting these performances in?
I think it's very much I've got confidence in the car. I love the way the car drives. It really suits me, so I can really attack a lot more than I'm used to, particularly in rear-wheel drive. If you stuck me in equal machinery, I still would expect to be behind Oliver and Kieran, just on pure pace. But I say this car really suits me. I love it, and just to say those starting to get a lot of confidence in it now, so it's nice where you can kind of not necessarily always have to look in your mirror, which is what I'm used normally when I'm out the front. I'm normally kind of driving on mirrors, but yes, with this car, I feel like I can be a bit more a bit braver and a bit more confident with it.
Yeah, he certainly looked very confident indeed, and we always talk about just one more lap. Whenever there's a really good race going on, just one more lap, and the results would look different, or we'd have a bit more battling. And I think this season could well end up being a case of just one more round, just one more round. I think you would be very much, quite clearly in that fight. For the championship, it seems to have gone really well. I know you mentioned the lightweight or the lighter fuel load performance in the McLaren. Do you think the sprint races are where it really shines because it can start those races basically kind of on the front foot almost with that lighter load in it?
No, I think it plays more into its hands when it's in the 30-minute race because I think once you get past 20 minutes, I think the BMs start to suffer a bit more. So as long as you're there or thereabouts at that point, the last few laps you've kind of got a bit of a chance to gain some time on them. I've had a bit of good fortune with some last lap incidents and stuff, but got to make the most of them when they come along. So it's going to be just slightly disappointed that Le Mans is now compulsory pit stop because I was looking forward to seeing if I could go along on that one, but it's just try and carry this momentum now and see where we end up.
Absolutely, and really looking forward to seeing where you do end up in that one, Andy. Congratulations on your successes this evening, and all the best for the rest of the season. Thank you for insight as ever, and all the best.
Cheers.
Great to hear from Andy again there in P2. But for my first time this evening, although not his first time on the podium, I get to have a chat with Jack Smith. Congratulations, Jack, on a Race 3 victory. We knew there was a victory in this evening for you somewhere, and in the end it was for Race 3. So pleased with how that went overall?
Yeah, I'd say I'm fairly happy. I feel like we had the pace throughout the whole evening, but yeah, just very unlucky in race 1 and 2. I feel like we could have won. I feel like genuinely we could have won all 3 tonight. So we just had a lot of pace, but just didn't get to show it, unfortunately. Just a couple of taps around in race 2. I think I got taken out like 3 times, which is a bit crazy, and still to get P5 after that is a huge achievement. So but I think it was damage limitation tonight for me, and then just putting the proof in the final race. So yeah, super happy.
Yeah, we know Richard mentioned vintage Jack Smith before, and we were discussing how it's a fairly common sight. Maybe they're not always recovery drives, but there'll be reverse good drives nonetheless. Quite often, especially in this season, that we can count on you at least to be in the upper end of the points, and I think you definitely had your work out in that regard this evening. But you still put on a very impressive performance, and I guess as much as I'm sure Championship's still very much on the cards, and well, of course it's on the cards. It's very much still in contention at the moment. You'd be, I'm sure, loving to just bag all the points and make it comfortable for you. Do you also quite enjoy the kind of the challenge of, you know what, not everything's settled yet, and I've actually got to sit in this mid pack and fight for some overtakes here? Do you kind of enjoy that change of scenery?
Yeah, I always welcome it. It's why I enjoy the reverse grid so much. It's just so nice to get in the mix with everyone. It's it's nice winning everything, but sometimes you just need a bit of a battle. But no matter what race it is, whether it's the first one or the last one, I try to get as many points as I can out of it. So I feel that's what we did tonight, and made our moves to get there. So yeah, quite happy.
Yeah, absolutely should be. I mean, you say pace looked very good. Shame you didn't quite get the result you were after. Is Fuji a track that you've got previous kind of successes and fun memories of?
No, honestly, I've not really raced much here. I genuinely couldn't tell you the last time I was here, to be fair. Ollie told me it was something to do in another GT3 series, and I was just like, I cannot remember that at all. It must have been a really bad one. So I don't know. I felt fairly fresh coming into this one, and I had to do the hot lap in like 15 minutes, which was not fun at all. And just trying to get a lap together was a bit of a nightmare. But I just sort of clicked really quick with it, and it's got a really nice flow, and I think it's just one of those circuits. I really like those circuits that are just sort of a bit weird. So the last sector was just like cherry on top of the cake for me. It was perfect. So I really enjoyed that, the challenge of it, and I feel like we got away with the best points that we possibly could have tonight. So really happy. And there was a bit of talk about a move in the final race, but I feel like the move was reminiscent of other moves that were made previously. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, if someone's unhappy with that, then I feel like that should speak volumes. But I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, just super happy with the evening and how it's gone, and yeah, I feel like we just need to take this momentum forward. And I'm going to go on Bahrain now, actually, just do the hot lap for Rich. So.
Oh, very nice, good play. You're not planning on a cheeky stop off at the Hop Cavern then in this lovely summer's evening?
Ah, no, Lee'll be shut up now. He's done for the evening. That's why he's on the YouTube. But yeah, we'll definitely be popping in tomorrow for sure to see how he is, and yeah, do the old sponsorship agreement.
Of course, yeah.
So,
what's the usual go-to on a nice, kind of summer's evening like this? What is your health beverage of choice?
So, well, we have a lot of choice, obviously, but I personally made him this app that is like a random generator, so it chooses the beer for you. Most of the time we just do that, and it chooses a random can for you. So, yeah, it's like beer roulette almost. It's quite fun. So
that sounds like a game I can get behind.
Yeah.
That certainly does. And you mentioned you made an app, and you seem to be quite handy with the whole app. You were, I believe, you were involved in helping our University of Liverpool Racing Society team out, weren't you? When you're getting a little app set up for us.
Yeah, kind of. That was more. I think that was more Junaid, to be fair. that was his doing. I sort of had a little bit of input. He wanted some. I made something that could pull stuff off live timing websites and stuff like that. But yeah, that is like 99.9% Junaid on that side of things. Yeah, I did try to make stuff, but yeah, it just didn't fall into place for that. But yeah, I think Junaid had a quite good app for Liverpool. So
he did indeed. We at those events they always have a competition for best spreadsheet, and I put forward the app for best spreadsheet, and for some reason they didn't take that. I argued that it was the best. But we didn't quite get it, unfortunately.
It might have been the better Eve, but I don't think it was the best spreadsheet.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I lost that battle, but at least the team came back with a very good result anyway. So I'm sure the app at least had some contribution to that. So thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel like you had a good result there as well. We got a little bit unlucky in that side of things. We had a few issues. I think our axle snapped at one point, which is suboptimal. So yeah, but it is what it is. That was another story for the 24. So yeah, very happy. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm not too sure if I believe Rich might be having a couple of technical issues on his end potentially. He did mention the audio dropping out ever so slightly. So I believe now's our chance where we can maybe look at some of the provisional kind of championship tables after this. Unless Richard, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think I'm hopefully back now.
Oh, there we go.
So I think 24-point lead now that Jack has got, so extended it out a little bit with a 65-point gap back to third, which is now held by Andy Carroll. Kieran Haynes in fourth. So Kieran did leapfrog Ollie Gibson this evening, but Ollie's still there. Well, actually, they're tied on 409 provisionally, as we say. All the clerking has got to be done. It sounds like there are a few issues that need to be looked at, and we wait with bated breath for Thursday morning or Thursday lunchtime to see the decisions on those. But that's the table. I think the one thing that stands out for me there is Scott Bugner in 14th place. Scott, you need to be back next week for a front row start in the in race 1. So I hope Scott is listening, or someone can give him a nudge, and that he'll be able to rejoin us for next round, which is at the Bahrain International Circuit, as you can see. And yeah, penultimate round. It's our last multi-race round of the campaign, so please make sure that you join us and spread the word. You might find some other people fancy some Tuesday night racing. I know a lot of people do enjoy it. I think Rich was going to join us, but he's not with us, but it'll give me a chance to promote the Porsche Motorsport Cup, which is upcoming, and 2 classes of racing, which is going to be fascinating to work on. I am going to be on some of the rounds, but not all of them. We've got a couple of weekends sorry, weekend. I knew I'd say weekend at some point. I've got a couple of dates where we've got celebrations and like that going on, and I'm away. So I will be on some of the rounds for the Porsche Motorsport Cup. So looking forward to some of those. I think registrations are open now, so we look forward to seeing who goes in what class. But a great opportunity maybe for Class 2 for new drivers. So if you've got someone that wants to join VRRC or just sort of dip their toe in the water, then Class 2 might be a good idea, and we'll endeavour to make sure that we cover both classes through the course of the racing. So Porsche Motorsport Cup coming up from the 4th of August at Brands Hatch. Not sure if that's Indy or GP. And similarly with Silverstone, I'm guessing the Silverstone one will be GP, which is what I tend to do, as the others are all GP venues, so maybe Brands Hatch is GP as well. I'm still looking forward to a round at Crystal Palace at some point. I keep nagging Rich about that. I don't suppose it's going to happen anytime soon. But there we are. Big thanks, as ever, to Steve Allen for doing some great direction. Reeve Taylor for superb co-commentary and company as well. Thank you, Reeve. Look forward to catching up with you again soon. Hope you enjoyed
likewise.
it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard, for having me. Not too sure what the calendar's looking like for the upcoming rounds, but I'll endeavour to jump in for some thoroughly enjoyable VRRC action as and when it comes.
We look forward to that, and again, yeah, thanks again, and thanks in advance to Ian Danaher, our clerk, who's got his work cut out for him again over the next couple of days. From all of us at VRRC, thank you very much for watching. Be nice to each other, and we'll see you same time again.